Dobré ráno všem, můžeme začít. Moje jméno je Kateřina Kopečná a budu vás provázet dnešní konferencí a tímto bych vás tedy oficiálně chtěla přivítat. Konference se jmenuje Cesta k rovnosti, podpora občanské angažovanosti v interkulturním prostředí. Když už mluvíme o prostředí, tak se můžeme podívat tady na to krásné reprezentativní prostředí, ve kterém se nacházíme. Jsme tedy na Staroměstské radnici, přímo v centru Prahy, právě také díky magistrátu hlavního města Prahy, který je partnerem i této akce, dnešní konference, společně s nevládní neziskovou organizací Inbáze. Pojďme si na začátku říct několik organizačních věcí. Nejprve bych tedy chtěla upozornit na to, že konference probíhá dvojjazyčně, bude tedy česky. Já jako moderátorka budu hovořit dnes česky, ale řada prezentací tady bude i v angličtině, ale máme tady sluchátka a vzadu tlumočení, proto i prosím řečníky, aby vždycky mluvili na mikrofon. Jenom taková technická věc, po skončení konference prosím nezapomeňte vrátit sluchátka. Zároveň jste si možná všimli, že tady máme kamery, to znamená, že bude pořizován videozáznam z této konference a posléze bude možné ho mít k dispozici, budete se moct na něj podívat. Tak a teď už se tedy společně pojďme podívat na program, na to, co nás tedy vlastně dneska čeká. Je toho spousta zajímavého, protože samozřejmě zapojení všech obyvatel Prahy, včetně i těch s migrantským původem, je velice důležité. Proto se podíváme na to, jak se to už daří, jaké vlastně jsou různé programy, prezentace jednotlivých organizací, dneska určitě zazní. Ale také bude hned v té dopolední části představen poměrně unikátní výzkum, ohledně toho, jakým způsobem hlavní město zapojuje své obyvatele. Také nás čekají přestávky, jenom se možná zeptám, našli jste všichni program? Ano, máte. Tady, když tak ukazuji, máme ho i v angličtině, i v češtině tam na stolečcích, takže můžete využít i občerstvení a samozřejmě je naplánovaná i obědová přestávka, bude catering přímo tady v prostorách. Když se podíváme na ten název, tak tam máme Cesta k rovnosti. To znamená, jak je důležité vlastně zapojovat všechny. Právě proto se budeme moci i podívat na odpolední workshopy. A v odpoledních workshopech budete moci vy sami si říci a definovat nějaká dobrá řešení pro to, jak zapojovat všechny. A abychom mohli všechny zapojovat, tak musíme jednak vědět, jakým způsobem vůbec financovat spolky. Jaké jsou zdroje financí pro to, aby jsme se všichni mohli shromažďovat v rámci občanské společnosti a dělat různé projekty. Zároveň je také důležité vůbec vědět, jak to organizování se funguje, jak můžeme zřizovat různé spolky, jak máme přístup k informacím v podstatě ohledně toho, co se v našem městě děje. A třetí takovou částí je i účast na politických právech, protože to rozhodování musí být vlastně také participativní. Takže tímto jsem vám vlastně představila 3 odpolední workshopy, které nás čekají. Jenom se zeptám, zapsali jste se už všichni na ten svůj workshop, který vás nejvíce zajímá? Někdo vidím, že kroutí hlavou, že ne, tak to vůbec nevadí, protože tam je stoleček vepředu u registrace, kde se ještě můžete zapisovat. Ty workshopy budou probíhat podle jazyka, který preferujete, takže tam určitě zaškrtnete, zda dáváte přednost angličtině nebo češtině. Tak, tím jsme si tedy trošičku nastínili program. Ještě bych vás určitě chtěla pozvat na to, že tady bude i sdílení dobré praxe ze zahraničí. Čeká nás i zkušenost z Norska, takže to určitě všichni budeme rádi sledovat a budeme se inspirovat. A teď už bych tedy ještě zmínila Inbázi. Inbáze, nevládní nezisková organizace, která pořádá dnes ve spolupráci s Magistrátem hlavního města Prahy tuto konferenci. Prosím, zvedněte ruku ti z vás, kteří znáte Inbázi, už jste o ní slyšeli. Vidím bohatý les rukou, tak to je velké nadšení, že už všichni známe Inbázi. Kdybyste náhodou ještě se chtěli podívat, co přesně Inbáze dělá, je tam hned tady za tou zdí stoleček, na kterém jsou různé materiály, které si můžete odnést. Tak a pojďme dál. Kdo z vás zná Magistrát hlavního města Prahy? Ano, tak alespoň zástupci magistrátu, doufám, zvedli ruku. Ale samozřejmě vidím, že i celá řada dalších lidí, takže to samozřejmě, to je vedení města, takže vidíte, že důležitost této konference je skutečně zdůrazněna tím, že jsou tady i zástupci města. A pojďme dál. Kdo zná iniciativu MigAct? Zvedněte ruku. A pořád vidím poměrně hodně rukou, i když už o trošičku méně. A moje poslední otázka. Kdo z vás je v galerii příznivců MigAct? Ano, vidím tamhle nadšeného příznivce. Další, skvělé, díky. Ti z vás, kteří nejste a měli byste zájem, určitě by vás neměly minout tady tyhle lístečky s QR kódem. Můžete si tam všechno pročíst a můžete se určitě zapojit. A tím už se tedy dostáváme k první naší dnešní prezentaci a ta bude právě nejenom o Inbázi, ale převážně hlavně o shrnutí práce MigActu. A já bych chtěla představit vlastně zakladatelku a spoluzakladatelku MigActu. Je to paní Natallie Allen a Mónica Márquez. Obě dvě už se v tom tématu integrace a participace občanů s migrantským původem zabývají řadu let a určitě nás teď bude zajímat, jakým způsobem ten projekt běží a co už vlastně v rámci něj bylo uděláno. Tak pojďte za námi a vítejte.
Good morning, vítejte, welcome. Just a second, we will just start our presentation and I will start talking about MigAct. Just 1 minute, please. In the meantime, I would just like to say that I am really happy to see so many people here with us today. So thank you for making the time and for being here today. Lots of colleagues and people from MigAct community, so welcome. There we are. So, my name is Mónica, as already Katka said, and I will start giving enter to MigAct. Well, let's hope. Yes. And I want to start quoting one poet and anthropologist I admire a lot, Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." I find this quote inspiring because I think it's a call for action. It's a call for taking responsibility for what we believe is the society we want to live in. And I personally want to believe that I can be one of these committed citizens that Mead is talking about. So today I'm going to tell you a short story of one group of these committed citizens who, over a year ago, decided to create something that we call MigAct initiative. The story of MigAct started quite long ago in a NGO and community center that already Katka mentioned. It's called Inbáze. Inbáze has been supporting people with migratory background for over 20 years, no, almost 20 years. And almost 10 years ago, they trained the first group of so-called intercultural workers, and Natalia and I were part of this group as well. The work of MigAct is also supporting people to get engaged into their lives in the Czech Republic. That means not only going to school, having a job, but also getting involved into the civil society. And that was one of the things that we as intercultural workers did mostly. As part of our activities, among other things, we were really seeking for supporting the integration of people with migratory background through their active participation in the civil society. So to this end, we carried out a number of activities, such as these ones that I am putting here, about political system. This means my road to Czech citizenship. And then, for example, we visited several other NGOs so that people could get to know them and get to find the ways how to include into their activities. But we knew that in order to really support an inclusive participation, we needed to include people in the process of planning and searching for ways of collaboration, for cooperation. And so that's how the concept or the idea of MigAct was born. We held 3 planning meetings during this past year, and in these planning meetings, we invited Prague citizens with migratory backgrounds, but not only, also like local Czech citizens, to start a collaborative process and give shape to this idea of MigAct. This is a photo of one of these meetings. The next, please. And for the next several months, we worked together in testing this concept. We held different activities in various formats. And finally, a group of committed citizens, as Mead would say, and some of them are here, which I'm very happy for, created what we call the core team of MigAct. During these strategic meetings, we were working on the vision, the mission, and the goals of MigAct, and we decided to focus on 3 main areas. Before I want to tell you that there you can find this poster I'm showing here with these visions, with our vision, mission, and our goals. You can find it there, so you can read it calmly, maybe in the pause, so you can get to know us better. And so we decided to focus on these main areas: supportive participation on the city level, capacity building through education and networking activities, and of course developing MigAct initiative itself. And so now let us tell you and share with you some of our successes. Natalia, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica, and welcome everybody. It's very nice to see all the faces I emailed to. Welcome to the conference. I'll carry on with talking a little bit about MigAct and say a few words about what we actually achieved during this past year. And before I continue, I would like to also thank our partners and all the people who are supporting us during this journey, which is Active Citizens Fund, which is our main kind of donor, that this whole big project is supported by them, and also Prague City Hall that today is hosting this conference. So throughout the last year of MigAct's existence, a little bit more by now, we held a lot of different meetings, workshops, seminars. We were testing different formats. Usually we tried to be to involve people that come to the meetings, not that they just sit and listen to us like this, but kind of have interactive formats, participatory meetings. We held 2 quite big networking events, which were aimed at building our community at MigAct. You can see some pictures here, but there were also about 6 or 7 other events and meetings throughout the year. Another kind of bigger project that we were implementing was in cooperation with the Prague City Hall. You will hear a little bit more about this project later in the panel discussion. Throughout, again, this last year, we held a few meetings with Prague City Hall representatives and active citizens of Prague with a migratory background. We were discussing different topics of how people can be more involved in policy making, which was aimed at creating a new action plan of Prague City Hall on integration. These workshops were also run in the Prague City Gallery, which was kind of a partner in this as well. And we will continue with these events later this fall, so there will be more to come, and you're very welcome to join them. We'll keep you posted. We also ran an acceleration program for 6 teams. Most of them, all of them are present here today, which is I'm very happy to see them here. It lasted for 9 months, and all these 6 teams received support from Inbase and MigAct in the format of trainings, workshops, mentoring. You will hear all of their stories today, so I will give the floor to them to tell their own stories, but here you can see kind of the graduation of the acceleration program on these photos. And we also, within MigAct and Inbase, we provide so-called participatory intercultural work. We need to change the name, it's very long. But basically it's sort of counseling for people with a migratory background. But this counseling is on the topic of civic participation or political participation, and intercultural workers speak multiple languages, so people can talk to them in their native languages, and they provide information. Basically, me and Mónica, my colleague, we're doing this, and we have a few more colleagues in Inbase who provide intercultural work and counseling. And these people are kind of guides for those who want to find out more. And they also provide contacts, networking, and so on. So this is something we will also continue working on in MigAct. And during this last year, as I said, we're testing a lot of different formats because we're thinking a lot about how to involve people as much as possible so they're active participants of all these events. And there are a few things that we think worked quite well. For example, we started doing most of them bilingually. We use Czech and English sometimes at the same time. It's quite interesting. So it made a lot of these events more accessible to different people that do not speak Czech at a very advanced level. And the people that came to the meetings were very, very diverse, came from different countries, and English also made it a little bit easier for some of them to participate. Here is an example of just like a bilingual invitation, and when we do the meetings or moderate the meetings, we either do it bilingually or agree with the people present which language they would like to do, either English or Czech. And it all led to our first birthday, which was in June. We had a kind of community celebration to mark this milestone, and to have another, we kind of had another networking. I'll pass the word back to Mónica now that will continue.
Yes, thank you, Natalia. Actually, this was very nice because it was like the realization. We realized that, oh yes, we already exist, we have been born, we actually have 1 year behind us, you know? That was so fast, and we did so many things. And so we also realized together that the time had come to become an independent initiative. And so, after that birthday, that was this year in June, the 9th of June, we decided that we will become a formal independent initiative, and in October of this year, so in a couple of weeks, we will be MigAct Zapsaný spolek in Czech, which is like a formal association here in the Czech Republic, and we are very happy that we have the support from our partners, Inbase and the Prague City Hall, who are giving us in diverse ways their support, and we are very grateful for it, so thank you. But now, in this new phase of our journey, we will need more support and from new partners and new cooperation. People like you, for example, people who are sitting here today. So I want to invite you to cooperate. And of course, if you are interested in supporting us in any way, just by attending our activities or being part of the community or supporting us financially as well, you can contact us, for example, today, or we have actually a newsletter. You can subscribe there, you can use this QR code right away, or you can follow our social networks. We have Facebook page, which right now is being changed a little bit, and we are working on our website. So as soon as it will be ready, we will let you know. And well, just to finish, oh yes, these are our email addresses in case you want to write. And so just to finish, let me quote again a woman from Guatemala who I really admire very much. She's a human rights activist and also winner of Nobel Prize, Rigoberta Menchú, who said something that I think can be an example of what we are doing here today. And it says, each voice has infinite power. And when all those voices come together in search of justice, they create an unstoppable course of change. Thank you.
Moc děkuji základnímu týmu MigActu za představení, co všechno už za 1 rok zvládli udělat. Musím říct, že to je opravdu takový ten efekt motýlích křídel v praxi, že je úplně neuvěřitelné, co už jste všechno zvládli a už se těším na to, co bude v dalších letech. A teď už se pojďme společně podívat právě na výsledky pilotního výzkumu na téma občanské participace obyvatel hlavního města Prahy s migračním původem. Ten představí Natallia společně s Klárou Slepičkovou. Klára Slepičková studuje poslední ročník antropologie a žije dlouhodobě v zahraničí. A v rámci svých studií se zabývá migrantskou zkušeností a zkušeností s životem v cizím prostředí.
Dobrý den, ještě jedno, já si přepnu do češtiny. Výzkum se bude představovat česky, aby jsme to trošku prostřídali dneska. Tento výzkum je vlastně výsledkem toho celého projektu, který momentálně v bázi dobíhá a byl podporován Active Citizens Fund, nebo stále je podporován. A v rámci toho celého projektu nebo celého roku jsme se snažili vlastně zreflektovat tu naši zkušenost. Jak zkušenost ten báze, tak i zkušenost iniciativy MigAct. A tento výzkum je spíše takovou úvodní sondou vůbec do této problematiky. Není to výzkum úplně akademický, velký, reprezentativní, ale je to reflexe naší zkušenosti. Tento výzkum je vlastně zaměřen na získání základních potřeb nebo vůbec zkušeností lidí s migračním původem v oblasti občanské a politické participace. Když jsme se vlastně ten výzkum nastavovali, tak jsme se zaměřili na nějaké klíčové témata, kterým jsme si mysleli, že bude nutné se věnovat. A to je za prvé vnímání vůbec občanské a politické participace touto cílovou skupinou. A pak jsme vlastně chtěli zjistit, jaké témata vůbec ty lidi zajímají, co rezonuje, jak se angažují, kde se angažují. Nebo na jaké případně narazí bariéry a překážky, protože jsme už tušili vlastně z našich zkušeností, že nějaké bariéry a překážky jsou. A poslední okruh jsou zdroje informace. Chtěli jsme zjistit více, kde vlastně lidi hledají informace, vůbec jaké informace, jakého druhu. Proč ten výzkum vůbec vznikl? To téma občanské a politické participace, bych řekla, více a více nabírá na významu. A nicméně není úplně probadaný, neexistuje k tomu moc vlastně zdrojů informace nebo dat. Chybí jak základní data nebo nějaké dílčí výzkumy. Zároveň ale už jde o poměrně početnou skupinu lidí, protože Praha je velmi různorodá, obyvatelstvo Prahy je velmi interkulturní. Podle statistik posledních, které většinou vede ministerstvo vnitra, tak v Praze bydlí už zhruba 1/3 lidí, kteří mají nějaký migrační původ. A to jsou statistiky, které jenom sledují třeba cizince tady s registrovaným pobytem, ale nejsou tam zahrnuty třeba někde občany Evropské unie nebo lidi, kteří získají české občanství. Takže skutečně to číslo je mnohem větší než toto procento, které tady mám. A jde už o zhruba těch 400 000 lidí, možná i více ve skutečnosti. Tato skupina momentálně, většina z těch lidí vlastně není nějak politicky zastoupená, protože nemají většinou volební právo A takto i z našich zkušeností vychází, nebo jejich zkušenosti primárně, že občanská společnost zůstává takovým jediným nástrojem, jak vůbec vyjádřit svůj hlas, nebo nějak obhajovat svá práva, nebo pičovat o tuto společnost, v které ty lidi žijí. Ještě trošičku o té celové skupině, to je takový poměrně dlouhý, obyvatelé Prahy s migračním původem. Uvedli jsme to tam schválně, protože je to poměrně široká skupina lidí. Jsou tam totiž v tom všichni lidi, kteří mají jiné občanství než české, a pak také ale občany České republiky, kteří se narodili v nějaké jiné zemi, do Prahy se přestěhovali a získali občanství ČR. Ta skupina je opravdu velmi početná a velmi široká. My jsme se v tom výzkumu zaměřili jenom na takovou úzkou část vlastně toho velkého počtu lidí. Aby jsme věnovali jsme se, nebo ten vzorek vlastně lidí, kteří byli součástí výzkumu, se sestavoval z lidí, kteří už jsou nějakým způsobem v občanské společnosti aktivní, nebo mají o ní vlastně jakoby větší zájem. Jsou to lidi, kteří se zdržují v Praze po většinu svého života, totiž tady bydlí, pracují nebo studují. Pak jsou pro nás jakoby z pragmatických důvodů jsou to lidi, kteří vládají česky nebo anglicky, jsou starší 18 let, mají migrační původ a bydlí v Česku více než 6 měsíců, takže jsou tady trošičku už více usazení. Nejde o vzorek reprezentativní, jak jsem řekla. Spíše jsme ty lidi jakoby rekrutovali do výzkumu z komunity Inbáze nebo MigActu. Nejsou tam vůbec vlastně zahrnuté obyvatele, kteří se nezapojují do té občanské společnosti mezi tím. Takže jde o velmi jakoby takový maličký procent toho většího čísla. Během toho ročního vlastně období jsme používali různé techniky vytvoření dat. Provedli jsme 6 fokusních skupin, 3 v češtině, 3 v angličtině. Pak jsme vlastně pozorovali na akcích iniciativy MigAct, kde jsme sbírali také data skrze otevřené zúčastněné pozorování. Celkem do toho výzkumu jsme zapojili data se 7 akcí a teď v létě probíhala takové menší dotazníkové šetření. Byl to takový jako dotazník v češtině a angličtině. Taky jsme provedli takovou jako souhrn analýzu zkušenosti vlastně Inbáze, která s tím tématem už pracuje jakoby delší dobu a proběhly více takové expertní rozhovory vlastně s zaměstnanci Inbáze, který prováděla tady kolegyně Klára Slepičková externě, aby to bylo trošku více objektivní. No a počet respondentů. Toho výzkumu se zúčastnilo zhruba 216 osob, vysvětlím, proč to je zhruba. Máme tady 22 účastníků fokusních skupin, pak vidíte 151 vyplněný dotazník. Nicméně toho pozorování na akcích, tady to číslo je uvedeno odhadem, protože nemůžeme zaručit, že všichni lidi, kteří na těch akcích byli přítomně, tak se k tomu vyjadřili. Proto vadíme tam odhad zhruba 40 lidí, kteří byli vlastně takový unikátní navštěvníky těch akcí. Nechodili třeba vícekrát na různé aktivity MigActu. A pak jsou tam zaměstnanci Inbáze. Tady vidíte nějaké základní údaje o respondentech fokusních skupin. Je to poměrně pestré, co se týče země původu. Převládají nám ženy a vlastně jenom jeden člověk z těch 22 měl české občanství, ostatní ho neměli. A pak, pokud se podíváme na online dotazník, tak ta účast byla ještě pestřejší. Tady vlastně ten graf nahoře zleva, tak uvádí jakoby největší počet respondentů z určité zemi a tam budují vlastně tak jako víceméně zemi, které tady v Česku máme nejvíce, řekneme, reprezentované. A pak ten takový pestrý koláč zprava je vlastně úplně nereprezentativní, protože tam je vždycky jenom jeden vlastně respondent z určité zemi, ale mně to přišlo strašně hezky, že to je takhle opravdu pestré. A zase většinou dotazník vyplňovaly ženy, a už tam bylo více vlastně lidí s občanstvím České republiky. Naše hlavní zjištění, to možná vás zajímá nejvíce všeho. Já půjdu takhle po těch okruzích, které jsem zmiňovala na začátku. První je vnímání občanské a politické participace. Vlastně to většinou jsme vlastně sledovali během fokusních skupin nebo pozorování. To téma potřebuje trošku více jakoby prozkoumat do hloubky nebo s těma lidma vlastně promluvit. A zjistili jsme, že to vnímání je tak pestré, jak je naše cílová skupina. Pro hodně lidí politická a občanská participace trošku odlišuje. Politickou vnímají spíše jako přímou politickou participaci, účast na volbách, kontaktování političek a politiků, advokační práce a podobně. A občanskou participaci často vnímají trošku více přístupnou, spojují hodně s komunitou, s nějakou chutí dělat společné aktivity s jinými lidma, usilovat o nějakou změnu nebo zlepšení. Je to ale pro většinu respondentů takové osobní téma, kdy vlastně si myslí, že tím, že ta společnost je takhle různorodá, tak v podstatě každý si sám rozhodne, co občanská participace je a není. Jo, je to velmi individuální věc. Ještě je důležité říct, že vlastně v tom celém výzkumu my jsme hodně zaměřeni na kontext hlavního města Prahy. Že když jsme mluvili vlastně s lidma během fokusních skupin nebo ptali si v dotazníku, tak vždycky jsme se ptali na jejich zkušenosti, jak vlastně se zapojují v tom hlavním městě Praha, v tom jejich jakoby novém kontextu, novém domovu. Je to důležité zmínit, protože většinou ten jejich příběh participační je mnohem delší, protože začínají třeba ještě v té zemi původu a nevíme ani její plány do budoucna a je to velmi jakoby kontextně zaměřené. Jdeme dál. Motivace. Proč vůbec vlastně lidi se zapojují? Většinou to byla taková kombinace různých motivů. Často se zapojují kvůli nějaké osobní zkušenosti. Je to navázané hodně na ten životní příběh toho člověka. Zaznívaly vlastně zkušenosti spíše často negativní nebo nějakým způsobem bolestivé a pak v reakci vlastně na tu osobní zkušenost lidi začínají jednat, začínají vlastně se angažovat nebo chtějí něco změnit, zlepšit. Často třeba pro budoucí generace, aby ten svět prostě fungoval trošku jinak pro děti a tak dále. Hodně u respondentů rezonovala zkušenost s migrací, zase která je propojena na tu osobní zkušenost. A pro ní vlastně ta angažovanost často je takový jako nástroj, jak předejít určité sumilosti, vykořenění, vlastně někam patřit, cítit se v té společnosti užiteční, být její součástí. Takže můžeme říct, že to je určitý nástroj vlastně integrace v této společnosti. Pro hodně lidí angažovanost znamená dobrý pocit. Vidí v tom smysl, chtějí pomáhat, cítí se vlastně dobře, protože můžou vlastně na těch věcech spolupracovat s ostatníma lidma. Co se týče témat, tak ty témata byly taky hodně pestré, různorodé. Tady vidíte takový graf, který je spíše kumulací dat napříč všechny ty techniky, které jsme používali. Z toho nám vlastně vyšlo takový top 10, kde je téma migrace, ta zaznívala opakovaně, nebo práva migrantů, pak válka na Ukrajině a pomoc uprchlíkům. To tady je rozdělen z toho důvodu, že v tom tématu války na Ukrajině často se lidi zapojí spíše taky do nějaké osvěty nebo šíří o tom informace a podobně. A pomoc uprchlíkům je více taková přímá pomoc lidem a uprchlíkům nejenom z Ukrajiny, ale z jiných zemí. Pak se hodně zapojí do tématu vzdělávání, doučování, do různých integračních aktivit. Hodně rezonovalo téma životního prostředí a taky práv, lidských práv menšin, práv žen. Hodně nám vlastně respondentek byly ženy, takže to téma jako zaznívalo opakovaně. Nebo budování místní komunity například. Jakým způsobem se ty lidi zapojují? Ty data jsou trošku jakoby, já tady uvedu fokusní skupina a pak online dotazník. Ve fokusních skupinách jsme zjistili, že nejvíce rezonuje téma dobrovolnictví nebo vůbec spolupráce s neziskovým sektorem, který je tak jako ještě propojený s aktivismem a advokační práci. Takže ty lidi vlastně jsou většinou aktivní opravdu v více oblastech, využívají k tomu více různých způsobů. A tady vidíte nějaké příklady těch činností, které oni zmiňovali, co je většinou, naprosto většina pomoc lidem, pak třeba nějaké pořádání vzdělávacích aktivit, osvětových aktivit, podpisy petice, účast v demonstracích, nebo ještě se nám objevovaly třeba komunitní zahrady nebo spolky rodičů a podobně. Tady vidíte data z online dotazníku, tam naprosto bodují demonstrace a protesty. Pak už zapojení v činnosti neziskových organizací nebo vlastně peněžní podpora neziskových organizací. Hodně lidí se angažují online, ku podivu, nebo možná ne ku podivu, to ještě dneska zjistíme. Neúplně buduje zapojení do dění vlastně na místní úrovni, na úrovni města, protože hodně lidí vlastně k ní má ještě stále poměrně stížený přístup. Jo, takže to je tam někde spíše v dolních hranicích. Je taky zajímavé, že u fokusních skupin v podstatě všichni respondenty řekli, že nějaké bariéry a překážky měli během té své cesty. Zatím, když u online dotazníků hodně lidí uvedlo, že vlastně na žádné bariéry nikdy nenarazilo. Většinou dotazníků, které se vyplnilo česky, zaznělo, že vlastně ty bariéry moc nejsou, nebo pokud jsou, tak jsou spojeny třeba s nějakým pocitem odmítnutí nebo projevy xenofobie, rasismu a podobně. Co se týče těch bariér, tak všude napříč všema daty boduje jazyková bariéra, totiž nedostatečná znalost češtiny, aby vlastně se zapojit plnohodnotně do aktivit, které jsou řízeny v českém jazyce. Pak hodně lidí zmiňovalo přízvuk a takový jakoby pocit, že spíše budou mluvit jiným jazykem, protože se potkávají k takovým nepochopením a odmítnutím, když mají silný přízvuk v češtině a nějaký potíže se vůbec domluvit v jiném jazyce. S tím je hodně jakoby spojen obecně pocit nedostatku informací nebo taková jako dezorientace v tom kontextu, hodně lidí, nebo vůbec v tom, jaký mám práva, co smím, co nesmím dělat, jak si můžu zapojovat, kde se můžu zapojovat. Nebo hodně lidí zmiňovala vlastně chuť se více vzdělávat, v této oblasti získávat nové kompetence. Už jsem to zmiňovala dříve, ale vlastně takové jako téma obecně nepatření, odmítnutí, taky hodně jako rezonují napříč data, že to lidi uvádí jako určitou nepříjemnou bariéru v tom, aby se vůbec angažovali. Jako někteří se potkávají s předsudky, různé stereotypy vůči různým národnostem nebo projevy rasismu a podobně, co může být vlastně hodně odrazující. Pak absence volebních práv, zejména v fokusních skupinách, ale nejenom, bylo velké téma, většina těch lidí neměla vlastně volebná práva a většina o ní stála a taky zmiňovala stížený přístup k českému občanství, který je vlastně velmi dlouhá procedura, musíte tady být 10 let a pak ještě vlastně pořádat a čekat řadu let na získání občanství s nejistým výsledkem. Pak zmiňovali překážky osobního rázu, že nemají čas, například energie nebo nějaký pocit vyhoření, taky strachu z toho, že pokud veřejně vystoupí, tak třeba budou mít nějaké následky, pak, které souvisí s jejich pobytem nebo i třeba hate speech a podobně. Zmiňovali omezení vůbec jakoby interakci s lidmi českého původu, že společnost je v sobě trošku taková jako uzavřenější a často měli pocit, že musí zasloužit tu důvěru, že není vlastně automatická, je potřeba je nějakým způsobem získat a pak už vlastně fungovat dál. Řada respondentů, který spolupracovala s neziskovým sektorem, tak zmiňovali hodně financování různých aktivit, které je velmi obtížné a tím pádem je to velká překážka, že ty věci se nemůžou vlastně realizovat, nebo určitou takovou jako odtažitost neziskových organizací od svých příznivců nebo dobrovolníků. Není to úplně jakoby vždycky jednoduché se do ní dostat nebo se s těma organizací spolupracovat. A taky chybící partnerský přístup k neziskovému sektoru obecně vůbec na úrovni jakoby společnosti a vlády. To by značná část těch respondentů hodně uvítala. Co se týče bariéru a překážek v dotazníku, nebo to je vlastně takové jako souhrnné informace, kde vidíte takové jakoby příbuzné kategorie, které nejvíce budovala, které jsem teďka zmiňovala. Teď předám slovo chviličku kolegyni Kláře, která vlastně zkoumala tuto oblast a řekne vám pár slov o zdrojích informací. Jo,
tak, já vám povím něco o posledním bodu našeho...
To slyšet? Pardon. Není. Jo, tak
tak, já vám povím něco o posledním bodu naší malé sondy. A vlastně stejně jako v průběhu celého toho výzkumu se ukazovaly rozdílná data získaná z fokusních skupin nebo z online dotazníků. Co se týče fokusních skupin, když jsme se ptali na to, kde získávají lidé informace, tak uváděli v prvé řadě, že se ptají v rámci své sítě známých, nebo jakožto vidíme druhou kategorii činnosti neziskových nevládních organizací. Čímž máme na mysli, že tyto lidé už byli nějakým způsobem aktivní, buď to jako přihlížející, nebo jako účastníci, nebo jako organizátoři různých akcí nebo aktivit v rámci neziskových organizací, a nebo se zkrátka objevovali v tomto prostředí, v této síti a získávali informace tímto způsobem. Hned v závěsu vidíme získávání informací obecně na internetu a dále sociální sítě, hlavně teda Facebook. A když se podíváme na online dotazník, tak vidíme, že se překlápí tento poměr. Že vlastně většina lidí získává informace online, na internetu, na Facebooku a zhruba v polovině případů, jako je tomu u toho Facebooku a internetu, tak máme, že se ptají známých nebo sítě kontaktů. Z čehož nám vlastně tak vychází, že ty lidé, které už jsou součástí sítě, tak ji využívají více, než ty, které do ní nemají přístup. A pak jsme se také ptali, jaké typy informací lidé hledají. A opět nám vyšlo, že u fokusních skupin lidé nejvíce hledají, jak se mohou zapojit. Takže už se například nějak zapojují a chtějí se zapojovat více. A potom zhruba v polovině případů, kdy hledali možnosti zapojení, hledali i informace o potřebách komunity nebo o fungování systému. U online dotazníků zase nejvíce bodovaly pozvánky na akce a možnost nějakého dalšího vzdělávání. A možnosti zapojení zase přibližně v polovině případů, takže opět se to tak nějak překlápí.
Děkuju. A tím se dostávám k závěrem té prezentace o našem výzkumu. Vlastně na základě těch dát, které jsme získali, tak jsme se snažili sestavit takové doporučení, které můžou být napomocné třeba pro různé organizace občanské společnosti nebo i zástupci města nebo širokou veřejnost, jakým způsobem vůbec lze podpořit občanskou politickou participaci lidí s migračním původem nebo odstránit nebo zkusit odstránit některé z těch bariér, které jsme zmínili. První je jazyková, tam samozřejmě je velmi důležitá dostupnost vzdělávání nebo vlastně kurzu českého jazyka, která ta nabídka je vlastně poměrně široká, ale často lidi oni vůbec třeba nevědí. Nevědí o různých projektech, kurzech, neziskových organizací a podobně, tak tam je rozhodně potenciál šířit to osvětu a více lidí informovat. Kromě ale vzdělávání je důležité také vytvářet vlastně nějaké možnosti pro setkávání lidí na osobní úrovni, protože pak ten jazyk se učí přirozenou cestou a to je někdy vždycky lepší. Samozřejmě nám může pomoct vytvoření různých materiálů, informací v různých jazykových verzích. Už to někdy nemusíme dělat i v rámci projektu, pomůže nám umělá inteligence nebo nějaký další nástroj. Si myslím, že je potřeba k tomu jít takovou otevřeně a čím více informací budou v různých jazycích, tím lépe. Nebo nám se osvědčilo třeba v iniciativě MigAct opravdu větší použití angličtiny. Co se týče nedostatečné znalosti kontextu, tak zase to se může ošetřit nabídkou různých vzdělávacích workshopů, akcí, diskuzí. Taky se nám osvědčily podpůrné programy vlastně pro neziskové organizace občanské iniciativy, které vlastně můžou nastartovat nebo jim vlastně poskytnout nějakou podporu, mentoring na začátku. A zapojení interkulturních pracovníků, který může být takový jako průvodce vlastně občanskou společností. Co se týče preventivních opatření proti xenofobii, rasismu a předsudkům, tak je to vlastně celospolečenské téma, musí si řešit na více úrovních. Tady je žádoucí podporovat organizace občanské společnosti v jejich činnosti, které nějakým způsobem ty preventivní opatření vykonává, nebo dělat různé světové kampaně, nebo přímo podporovat lidi, kteří se potkali třeba s projevem rasismu přes nějakou psychologickou pomoc nebo mentoring. A poptávka po politických právech je žhavé téma u našich respondentů. Situace, kde vlastně zhruba třetina obyvatel Prahy nemá volební právo, je už zcela neudržitelná z našeho hlediska a vlastně diskriminační. Takže je nezbytné obnovit vlastně tu diskuzi o tom, jakým způsobem ty politické právo lze zpřístupnit, jo? Jaké jsou nástroje, jak jako právní, tak i na úrovni města, co se dá s tím udělat. A to je za mě všechno. Pokud máte nějaké dotazy, tak teďka máme prostor ještě na pár dotazů a pak už to půjde svižnějším tempem, protože se vám tady budu představovat naše akcelerační týmy a pak uvidíte vlastně, k čemu dospěli oni během akceleračního programu. Takže teď dotazy, já to odmoderuju. Pokud máte nějaké, nebo klidně můžeme až potom. Můžu poprosit?
Thanks. I'm going to ask the question in English. I think the survey is super interesting, super wide, but going in depth at the same time. And I think you will probably be able to use that data for a lot of interesting recommendations and actions in the end as well. And I was just wondering, is there a plan to have such a survey in the future as well, in regular intervals, to kind of trace a development in the answers?
I'll answer in English. Thank you for your question. This survey also maybe something worth mentioning is that this is just the results, some of the results that I presented here. There will be a report from the survey available by the end of September, where you can see more detailed data about what I was talking about. And as to the next research stage, at the moment, MigAct is not planning to implement it because we are not aiming to be a research institute, but we will be very happy if the academic audience, so people who actually do research, would pick it up and maybe do partial research of all these different topics, because this is really very preliminary, very basic data, which definitely needs to be worked with. But we do not have the capacity to implement research on the wider scale at the moment. Ještě nějaké dotazy? Any more questions?
So thank you so much for the presentation and the initiative. It's very inspiring. Also, I ask in English if that's okay. Just a question. I wanted to know, because you have worked on MigAct for a year, firstly, how is the impact of your collaboration with the City Hall? How did it impact your work? And also, how do you see City Hall actually being involved in the changing of perception of what participation is, but particularly the political participation? Because it's one very, very interesting thing you said, that even the definition and people perceive political participation as different things. How do you see the involvement of the City Hall? How did it impact, and how could it impact in the future how people perceive this?
Thank you for your question. I think with the cooperation with the City Hall, it's a journey. It will take some time. Right now we are in the beginning of this journey, and we have a very close cooperation with one department of the City Hall, the one that we will talk a little bit about in the panel discussion. And this cooperation so far has been very interesting and very useful, I think, for both sides, because from MigAct participants, we saw a lot of kind of feedback that they were very interested in taking part in these participatory events, to actually come somewhere where city representatives would ask them, what they think, their opinions about the city or some improvements in the city and so on. So the feedback was quite positive, and that's something we will continue with, for the next year, this year, next year, and hopefully more in the future. But from our perspective, the City Hall is a very big institution, and right now we do not have much attention of the politicians, for example, which is very connected to the topic of political rights. Without the politicians, I don't think we can change that through our participatory events. So it will be very good for this topic, or support of this topic, if more maybe parts of the City Hall or the organizations that are part of the City Hall, because it's a really big institution, would participate more and maybe reflect more the fact that the population of Prague is extremely intercultural at the moment. And there's so many different people from different countries live here, and they're all citizens of the city. Yeah, so It's still a journey. There's a lot of work to be done, but we're hopeful. Thank you.
Já bych napřed také poděkovala za výbornou prezentaci moc zajímavého výzkumu. A zaznělo vlastně, že v rámci výzkumu jste dospěli k zjištění, že někteří respondenti vnímají odtažitost neziskových organizací, což si myslím, nebo mám takovou domněnku, že je to dáno třeba i pracovním kodexem, zejména interkulturních pracovníků. Myslíte si, že existuje nějaký konkrétní nástroj, jak lze tuto překážku překonat?
Děkuji za dotaz. Zase budu reagovat v češtině. Co se týče té odtaženosti neziskového sektora, já myslím, že tam to většinou bylo zmíněno v kontextu toho, že pro lidi, kteří neovládají češtinu na nějaké opravdu perfektní úrovni, je velmi těžké se tam dostat. Jo? Že vlastně se potýkají často s odmítnutím, když třeba chtějí dobrovolničit, že to nejde. Jo? Že prostě potřebujeme, aby člověk mluvil česky z různých důvodů pro ty činnosti, které ta organizace vykonává. Já si myslím, že tady největší, co můžu vlastně udělat neziskové organizace, tak se tomu otevřít. Jo? Trošku otevřít té spolupráce, protože ty cesty lze najít a ty lidi vlastně zapojit do svých činností. Jo? Než tak moc to souvisí s interkulturní prací, která naopak je velmi otevřená k té participaci vlastně lidí s migračním původem, ale spíše k tomu nastavení vůbec jakoby neziskových organizací. Jo? A k tomu, že většina z ní působí vlastně v češtině primárně. Co jako samozřejmě chápu, je to přirozené, protože jsme v České republice, ale v kontextu vlastně Prahy by bylo žádoucí trošku jako si tomu otevřít. Jo. Potřebuješ mluvit na mikrofon, Moniko. Nebo tam, jo, tak jo.
Tak jenom možná k tomu bych dodala, že jsme ještě také měli tu zkušenost v rámci jiného projektu, který jsme dělali před pár lety, že neziskové organizace třeba berou lidi, obyvatele s migračním původem jako klienti, řekneme. Jakože očekávají, že se budou zúčastnit jejich aktivit a že jsou ochotní třeba to i dělat i v angličtině, ale nejsou schopní je vzít jako do týmu, řekněme, jako třeba dobrovolníků nebo jiným způsobem, což jako pro spoustu lidí je to spíš ten zájem je být aktivní i při vytváření těch jako aktivit, nejenom se zúčastnit. Takže jenom jako dodání k tomu, že to jsou jako i ta úroveň otevřenosti.
Tak moc děkuji i za otázky, i za prezentování hodně unikátního výzkumu. Doufám, že data budou přibývat postupně a překážky budou mizet. A teď už tedy se pojďme podívat na slibovaný akcelerační program, to znamená, že tady máme první 3 prezentace a odpoledne potom budou následovat další 3 prezentace. Nyní už mi tedy dovolte, abych představila první organizaci, která se účastnila akceleračního programu Inbáze pro neziskové organizace a občanské iniciativy. Je to tedy organizace místním a oni podporují solidaritu s lidmi v nouzi a s lidmi bez domova. Nyní už tedy zvu Ester Pacltovou, aby představila svůj program.
Dobrý den, hello, good morning. So I'm here for the organization Místním. It's a Czech NGO, but we are trying to go with the approach of participation and involving also the people with the migration background. So I'm gonna speak English today. I'm gonna present you our activities, our general activities and the recent activities with the acceleration program of Inbáze today. And I'm going to talk also about the goals and values that we have, and also a little bit about the civic engagement. So firstly, our main project is the Solidarity Network that you can see on the first slide. We are connecting cafes and restaurants and other places in Prague that are open to people without homes and people in need. And they are basically up for offering them basic services of any kind, which can be stuff like water or access to the toilet, so very necessary things. And at the moment we are connecting 30 places like this, and it can be restaurants, cafes, but also other kind of places like bookshops or even fit centers and other types of places. And they are offering many kind of services, so not only water and toilet, but also, for example, anyone who comes here can charge a phone, or we have services for like digital inclusion, social inclusion, and also services where the society can participate in a way that you can prepay a voucher for someone in need. So basically you can prepay someone a coffee or a lunch or even a voucher for a theater ticket. If we go to a further slide, these are our values as an NGO. So our values are to support and empower people without homes, but also people in any kind of need. So also people with like psychological issues, or people who are expats, or people who are seniors but don't have much money, or people who are single parents and low-cost families, or people who are in any kind of actual need. We try to help overcome barriers between people. We try also to involve general public to contribute to make the neighborhood more inclusive and more social friendly. Also, we try to change the views and attitude towards people without homes. And through all of this, we try to transform our city to a more welcoming place. And it's connected to our values, which is inclusion, respect, open communication, but also sustainable support. So all of these things that we create should be something that we are able to offer, and it shouldn't be something that is breaking us down, but it's something that we as a society should be just able to offer to anyone with no problems for a long term. And now coming to the point, what we actually did with the acceleration program of InBase. We started with the picture that you can see on the left upper part. Was an event where when we made a gathering of all the solidarity network. We also invited people in need. We invited the cafes and the neighborhood, and we all could meet and just talk about what we do, and we could participate with the people that we are creating this. What we also did, and you can see on the upper right corner, was messaging. So we tried to think about ways how we can approach our partners, approach the cafes, and talk to them, get them into the solidarity network, and find ways how to explain what we do, why we do it, and why they can also be solidary, and in what ways. Also, we were focusing on PR, so every month we made some interviews and articles in both Czech and English, because we think that homelessness is something that is not taking so much space in public awareness, so we try to make it more coming to people's mind, and just we try to talk about it more. And the last thing what we did, and what maybe every NGO is trying to focus more on, was fundraising and evaluation was also our point. So we tried to make our NGO more sustainable for all the solidarity network and the partners. And coming to the last slide, thinking about what I would recommend or what I would like to change in our city to make civic engagement for people with migration background more accessible. Firstly, I'd like to mention that I find it very essential to actually find opportunities and find ways to involve people with migration background in our society. It just makes it more inclusive and diverse, and we just need to stress it that it's just important to have it. But I see many barriers and challenges, and it was mentioned already by Natalia and Mónica, but I still see that the language is a big barrier, sadly. But if we know it, we can work on it. So maybe we need more courses, we need more opportunities to work on this, at least to have like some basis courses of Czech, or maybe even English courses for Czech people, so that we can learn more how to not need Czech in all the offices and stuff. What we also need, and I feel it, is community outreach. So if we have the community engagement, it is difficult for people with migration background to actually go to the local people. So we need some actual connection with the communities. And then also support with the policy, with the rights, and with the correct information that we can actually have in our city. And definitely anti-discrimination efforts are very much needed. And one of the most important points is probably that most of these opportunities of various kinds should be probably offered by the city. So this is why I'm also happy that Inbase is trying to get connection with the city of Prague. And this is all from me. Thank you.
Díky Ester za představení projektu místním a organizace. Je to velice potřebný projekt. A teď už tedy jdeme na další téma a na další organizaci. Je to tedy La Casa Venezolana a představuji vám Valeria Mendozu se Sužanou Vyžafané Boháč. A jenom bych chtěla říci, že teď proběhnou 3 ty akcelerační programy a na konci budete mít prostor pro krátkou diskuzi a otázky.
So, dobrý den, good morning. So we're both Venezuelan migrants in Czech Republic, and how La Casa Venezolana was born was basically out of conversations, informal conversations in cafes, in bars, in squares, and how we were quickly realizing that our community was like growing in a faster pace, and how slowly they were finding with more struggles, more obstacles, more problems. And just we decided to do something about that, because we realized that it was needed to take care of our community, and that's how originally our organization La Casa Venezolana was born.
So, the essence of our organization is to connect and to find our identity as Venezuelans in Czech Republic. So we ask ourselves, how is it to be a Venezuelan here? So we try to reply. that question. So for us, we only dream about having our people, let's say Venezuelan people here, feeling cozy, feeling home. Therefore, we are a bridge between Venezuelan culture and Czech culture. In order to make that bridge happen, or to make that happen, we feel we need to support the migratory process of Venezuelan. What we did, or what have we done so far? You can go next. So far, we map our community, as we already spoke. That mapping is very, very important. So we don't have any embassy here. We don't have any organization that will tell us how many Venezuelans are here, what are their needs, where are they. So that was our first step. So each year since our foundation, we have done the Christmas celebration with traditional music and traditional food. Next one, please. Also, like a representation of things we like playing domino or baseball, like sports, as well like the mental health workshop for migrants. That it was a very special workshop for us, and also cultural workshops for children with our traditions. Last but not least, we participate a couple of weeks ago in RefuFest, where we combine the art and the migration crisis. So how we did it? We found many artists, and we print bags and shirts with their artworks. At the same time that we were explaining what is the migratory crisis in Venezuela, that is the third after Syria that is in war, and after Ukraine. Venezuela is not in war, but we are we have the most severe migratory crisis on the world. So so we try to give it a touch with the art to this hard information. So we have many ideas. This is like, for example, publishing some books or guides for migrants here, like the practical guide, so people know what to do when they just come to a new country, or acculturation for new families, culture festival, Venezuelan culture festival, debates, conversations that already has been happening thanks to Embase. Remapping, again, the community, and any kind of workshops. Next one, so just very briefly, numbers. We were founded in 2020, so 3 years ago. We have 60 active members in our organization, more than 400 followers, and as you could see, many ideas and more than 10 projects.
Thank you, Suyana. So I wanted to briefly reflect as well what the acceleration program by Embase meant for us as an organization. I think we were very informal in a certain way, and we were maybe naive or maybe shy about what we could do, what we could achieve, or what was the potential. So there was this small awareness of what an organization can be, what a civic association can do. And thanks to the acceleration program, I think we gained mainly a lot of self-confidence. Thanks to this acceleration program, we managed to believe a lot in ourselves, and we are now much more aware of what is possible to achieve, in the environment of the civic society in Prague, in Czech Republic. We feel way more committed thanks to this. And so we have a new perspective of the future that our community can have thanks to our ideas, thanks to our projects, thanks to our collaboration. And we, as a Venezuelan organization working for the Venezuelan community in Czech Republic, see the future of this civic engagement and what is kind of necessary or reflection. I think first of all is at least for us, we need to feel welcome, right? We need to feel that there's actually a space for our participation. And we also think that is key on this, the communication, and not the communication only as a language, if we understand Czech, or if we understand English, or if we understand Spanish, but it's most about if you're gonna address us as a Venezuelan community with a migrant background and with a specific recent history in our lives, you also need to think about how do we feel, how do we think, what are our ideas, right? So to put in our feet before talking to us, I think it's important so we actually feel there's the potential for that space. And as has been said before as well, bureaucracy and language, it is an obstacle. For us to make the registration of this civic association, it took us a year or maybe a little bit more than a year just because of bureaucracy and language. And I could see that maybe other people could just drop the idea of registering an association because it just takes effort, time, complications, and obstacles, right? So I think it's important to be aware of this. So we want to thank Inbase, MigAct, and all of you for your time, for your attention, and feel free to reach to us through our social network, to our email, Facebook, and thank you very much for your time.
Díky za svěží energii zástupců La Casa Venezolana a nyní už máme před sebou třetí účastníky akceleračního programu. Je to Česko-tchajwanská společnost zapsaný spolek a zástupci jsou Mia Litvin Su a Charlene Chen. Vítejte.
Good morning, everyone. We represent a group of Taiwanese who lives in Czech Republic and in Prague. We came here because of family, work, or study.
We run an afternoon school for children to learn Mandarin, so children can not only learn their mother tongue, but also spending time with their peers.
We are building a community where the expat children as well as adults can find a sense of belonging and a piece of home. Also, it's a place where Czech people can find out more about Taiwanese culture through various events.
Before joining the Imbaza program, we were having a hard time to find a local resource, also funding, get people together and the fundraise knowledge.
After joining, we opened a Mandarin library officially and set up regular community meetings. So thanks to the microgrants, and we aim to create a more open and more friendly occasion for our people so they can join easily, especially for the new arrivals, and to provide an immediate support network.
Also, we are able to prepare our fundraise activity legally for our large-scale cultural event. It just happened last week. Identify our key stakeholders and maintain a nice relationship with them.
Yeah, so we have learned a lot through the acceleration program, and see on the left, that's our happy donor there during our event and taking a photo in front of a logo wall. So that is the Diablo dance show. We have been preparing for months, and it was in the musical theater in Kalling, and it was attended by more than 500 people.
And the skill we learned from the workshop and the session with the mentors help us significantly. Especially our mentor recommend us to make some survey for our people. So then we are able to know what they need and what is the problem with with our community and between the Czech society.
So in the future, thanks to Inbaze and acceleration program, we were able to get more involved in the society and to cross the language barrier, which is our main issue in the community. And in the future, we would like to play a role in Prague's civic engagement projects by delivering the ideas and the knowledge to our community and providing our community more relevant information and more opportunities to make us more equal. So, and maybe last words, like a little like suggestion is maybe for the Prague City Hall and the MigAct. So if we can have a place for foreigners in the Prague Council to have some regular meeting with all the communities connected with Embassy or MigAct, that would be maybe a good occasion to express more our ideas and to get involved in the Czech society through the different communities. So that's about us. So if you have any questions, if anything unclear, we are here to answer.
Díky Mio a Charlene za představení tajvanského hlasu v České republice. A nyní máme prostor pro otázky. Chcete se někdo zeptat našich účastníků akceleračních programů?
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. All the initiatives are absolutely incredible, so congratulations on your work, and thank you so much for your hard efforts. So I just wanted to ask about, because I've seen that there are a few kind of specified communities, like the Venezuelan, the Taiwanese. Do you actually, how do you involve other communities in your activities? If you do you feel that it's necessary, or do you feel that just specifying your activities with one community actually makes the impact a lot deeper, and you create a stronger community? How do you see that? Are you open to other communities, for example, from Latin America, different people, and how do you do it? And whether you actually prefer to keep it within your community or to expand to different cultures, perhaps, or countries. And I'd like to hear your thoughts about this, on how it impacts the community itself.
Thank you for the question. I think in our case, in La Casa Venezolana, we can dream more in the future of integration, and especially because of the language and similar culture features we can share, for example, with other Latin American countries. So that is not so limited and exclusive for the Venezuelan community, but in our first steps, and because of the size of our team and the time we have, we do focus it there. Those are all or most of all our activities are always open for anyone who can join, not only Latin Americans, but whoever wants to join is open, though the focus is on a Venezuelan topic, on a Venezuelan theme. But yes, we think it is important, but let's say we are not in the capacity of actually executing it at the moment.
In our case, actually it's really happening, because our organization goals was to focus between Czech and Taiwanese cultural exchange, also to fit certain funding conditions. But the Far East countries, we always have very good relationship with Japanese community and the Korean community, and some of them they didn't know about this information, but they saw our involvement and they actually actively approached us, especially the leader in the Japanese community, and she invited us to do a Far East market together and so on. So they are actually it's very inspiring what we do here.
Ještě by se chtěl někdo na něco zeptat? Možná poprosím zástupce našich akceleračních programů, jestli by mohli přijít sem dopředu a položíme otázku, protože máme celý záznam kamerový, tak potřebujeme vás mít vepředu.
Thank you very much for your efforts in all the projects you are doing. I really appreciate it. And I have a question on what are the channels you are reaching to your target audiences? Is there an issue you are facing, or what are the channels that you use?
So, is this working? Yeah.
We usually target our channel by the social media. Also, we have our local communication application. So it's called Line. So we use these two main channel. Also, some of them, they don't use social media quite frequent. So sometimes we call them we reach them by phone call. Or maybe sometimes like a small MigAct, and we have some chance we can spread our information, something like that.
Yeah, and I think in our case, like maybe one of the challenges we have has to do it's more financial and kind of like organizational. Like for instance, all of our team is composed by persons who have like full-time jobs or more than one job, that have families and so on, personal projects. So we all find we fight to find the time to also work, for our organization, and all the classical struggles that are associated to funding, to presenting for grants, to get donors, and all of that. I think it's a challenge, and I think it's more of a, let's say, appreciation we make, and than something that we can actually prove. What we feel like, in order to reach to our community, to the Venezuelan community, maybe because of the, let's say, the socio-political background that we have back home, there's like a general sort of like mistrust, right? So people have like a little bit of a trouble to trust any kind of organization, any kind of authority. So it has been like kind of we are getting there, but it has taken us more time and more effort than we thought it would, let's say.
So maybe I will just add a link to the question before, that for us, we are first trying to get the trust and build a bond with our community, and then build a bond with the Czech and other foreigners living here. But it takes like this first step of trust.
Ještě máme prostor pro nějakou otázku. Chtěl by se ještě někdo na něco zeptat? Pokud ne, tak moc děkujeme účastníkům akceleračního programu. Jenom připomínám, že toto byla první část, ještě s dalšími 3 účastníky se setkáte v odpoledním programu. Thank you very much. A ještě než se rozejdeme na přestávku na coffee break, který bude trvat do 11 hodin, tak bych chtěla připomenout, že ještě na zítra máme několik míst volných na interaktivní workshop, který proběhne od 9 hodin do 3 v Inbázi. Je to workshop na téma Empowering Young Refugees and Fostering Active Citizenship. Takže pokud by se ještě někdo chtěl přihlásit, budete mít jedinečnou možnost setkat se s Human Rights Academy z Osla, kteří dnes také budou našimi hosty a budou mluvit o svých zkušenostech. A teď už vám tedy přeju příjemné networkování a občerstvení a sejdeme se tady zase v 11 hodin. A nyní tedy bude pokračovat panelová diskuze, která bude probíhat v anglickém jazyce. Dovolte mi, abych vám představila zástupkyni magistrátu hlavního města Prahy. My už jsme měli zástupce Inbáze, která pořádá dnešní konferenci, tak teď vítám paní Evu Valentovou, která právě zastupuje magistrát. A bude tuto panelovou diskuzi v angličtině moderovat. Takže jenom připomínám, že je to diskuze na téma zapojení migrantů do místních komunit a do společného navrhování integračních strategií. A je to pohled evropských partnerů projektu Unitis. A zbytek už vám řekne Eva.
Děkuji za slovo. Pardon, funguje to? Jo. Tak děkuji za slovo. Já budu mluvit v angličtině, protože mám tady zahraniční partnery. Hello everyone, welcome to our panel debate, which is titled Engaging Migrant in the Local Communities and in Co-Designing Integration Strategies. My name is Eva Valentova. Today I'm representing the city of Prague, despite many of you know me better in connection with the organization CIMI, but I am, besides my job in the NGO sector, I am leading also the contribution of Prague in the international project Unites, which will be presented today, and I'm really delighted that we had the opportunity to invite our international partners here to Prague, as the project and the local activities here in Prague are very much connected to MigAct platform. So I hope that you will get also inspirations from other cities that are presented here together with me. So I will introduce very briefly my colleagues, and then they can tell a little bit more during their contributions about their roles in the project and in our partnership. So from my right side is Dirk Gebhardt, who is from Migration Work, and he's a facilitator in the project. Then we have Karolina Pico from the network Eurocities, and it's the leading organization in our international project. And from my left side, I will start with Beatrice Collina. She's representative of the city of Bologna in Italy. Panos Fatas from the city of Athens in Greece. And then we have Adem Kuntu, who is the president of an NGO called Unity, based in Brussels. So these are our partners. And I would like to first give floor to Karolina to tell like who is Eurocities, why they invite European cities for cooperation, and to briefly introduce also the goals of our project.
Can you hear me? Yes. Hello everyone. Thanks a lot, Eva. Thanks a lot for having us here. We're really happy to be here in Prague. Yes, so I'm Karolina Pico. Indeed, I work at Eurocities. We work on different levels. As Eva was already saying, projects such as Unites, but we also work on advocacy, so we do advocacy on behalf of cities at European level, but we also work on capacity building and of course knowledge sharing between cities, which is the reason why we are in Prague today and tomorrow, to learn from what Prague is doing. So for some context, Eurocities is the network of the major European cities. We have more than 200 members, and within the project we're working on right now, Unites. We have 8 partner cities and 2 migrant-led organizations. We are working on co-designing integration strategies, meaning that we work on including migrant people in the design of integration strategies in the 8 cities involved. So this is our first visit of the project. So Prague is pioneering in a way, and we're really looking forward to learn a lot from the work you're doing.
Thank you, Karolina. Our project and also debate today is a lot about co-designing, which is in some way quite a new concept or turn for us at the city of Prague, because we are used to terms or approaches like participatory approaches or engagement of migrants, of multi-stakeholder cooperation with other actors. So I would like to ask Dirk to tell us a little bit more about what does it mean to co-design integration strategies, and like what are the expectations in the project from the partnering cities. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for the question. So I'm Dirk from Migration Work, an organization that works with city councils, organizations like Eurocities, our favorite partner, and NGOs on integration strategies at local level. We use the term co-design for this project, and also the other term integration strategies to make the whole thing a bit more specific. So to make this project more specific. But we have seen actually in the survey in the first session, that participation can mean a lot of different things, and also when city councils do integration policies, it can be a bit one-off, like participation. You just do one activity, you bring people together for something, I don't know, to cook together across different cultures, but that's not an integration strategy, obviously. No, integration strategy, a strategic perspective means having a long-term perspective, bringing a lot of people together, having objectives, and planning ahead and so on. No, like Prague in their action plan. Now on co-design, we use this term here, or co-creation you could also say, to talk about a form of participation that is also not just one-off. No, there is this, I think half of the people in the room at least know the ladder of participation from Sherry Arnstein, working on urban policies, neighborhood policies in the 1960s. She made this ladder of different forms of participation. No? The higher up you are in the ladder, the more participation there is. And on the bottom you have stuff like informing. No? That's a form of participation, but very passive. Even manipulation you can have. Consulting, that's also a bit what you did in the survey, no? And then further up on the ladder you have delegation of power, partnership, things like that. And that's much more, and that's a bit what we mean when we are using co-design or co-creation. And that's why we also use this term to say, to kind of express an ambition to get serious. So that, for instance, a city council would recognize, okay, these people that use our services, they have some information that we don't have. So we need to work together with them to understand how to make them better, no? And that also means we don't do that just once, but we do it in the long term. So when we think about how can we improve our services, maybe by making them more multilingual, we then talk with them about how concretely to do it and so on. So this is why we used co-design to express this ambition. So it's really about coming close to something where different actors meet on equal footing. Having said that, my last comment, I mean, co-design is the new participation in that it is used everywhere. No, you see everybody is doing co-design nowadays, and very often it's not real co-design in the way I've just explained it. No, it's just a fancy term, so we need to be careful. Just like with participation, when we use this term, that we're actually doing what it means.
Thank you, great. And do you have a concrete example of co-design, maybe from other cities than those participating in our project?
So we did in this Unites project, in the first stage, we did some research for what in particular cities had done in co-design, not only integration, but also beyond that field in maybe neighboring fields. And we saw that there was not much. So one starting point, and I think you all agree, is that there is not a huge tradition of participation, co-creation in integration policies. In psychiatric care or in urban planning, there is a much longer tradition. And when we spoke about this with our cities in the project, they said, yes, I mean, there's a lot of bias. Integration policies are relatively new, but then there's also the idea that why should we have, why should the idea of second-class citizens, no, that maybe don't have a real full right to participate, that prevents some people to do co-design with migrants on integration policies. Now, inspiring examples, the first thing I ever saw in this field was the city of Nantes in France, who in 2012 did a mapping of how does our integration support feel when you're a newcomer. So they did a lot of focus groups with newcomers and tried to map out, okay, these are the different steps, administrative steps and other steps that they have to take in the beginning. And this is what they find particularly tricky, and that was quite a big exercise with a lot of data gathering, and they made a big map of all these different steps, and that was entirely based on input from newcomers, and that's one example. No? And what we're looking for still are examples where you have a systematic involvement of migrants and migrant representatives across the strategy development. We haven't found that yet, and we call it the unicorn for that reason.
Okay, thank you for this introduction to the topic and the approach we are trying to use. I can tell you now very shortly like why we understood co-design and why we tried to implement it here in Prague, in the city of Prague. Like I think you might know that Prague has an integration strategy which was first time elaborated already back in 2014, but the latest update was made for the period of the years 2022 until 27, so for the 6 years. And as it is quite a long period, so we prepare also like two biannual action plans which contain the concrete activities and tasks for the city, but not only for the city, for the different departments within the city, like a social department, educational department and others, but also for other stakeholders. Mainly it's Integration Center Prague or NGOs, or it can be also other public institutions or civic initiatives. So, and this action plan in the past years was very often quite not much realistic for the capacities and also the competencies of the city. There were many activities that we could consider rather as a wish list than a realistic task. So that was also one of the motivations why we wanted to have international exchange with other cities to see their challenges and how they tackle with it, and also to see what effective methods could be used to make strategic planning in a more realistic way, and at the same time to engage all the actors possible, including those who are let's say the target group, or who should be the beneficiaries of the activities of the city, which are the inhabitants with migrant background in the Prague. So yeah, our task was to make a new action plan for the next 2 years, to 24 and 25, and we invited a MigAct platform to be part of it. So we organized 2 events together. And it was quite interesting to see what happened there, because our idea was to introduce the action plan, the strategies of the city, also like how the city is administratively divided, and what are the competencies of the city hall as such, and the districts which are independent municipalities. And it appeared that already the administrative structure of the city is very, very complicated, and the strategies can be too much abstract for inhabitants, for people that are not involved in policy making, let's say. So then we switched our approach from introducing and explaining to ask and assess the needs of the participants. And as it was said, the meetings are bilingual, which was a very great asset of it, because we managed to overpass the language barrier, and people could be much more open in what they would see, how the city services could be more accessible, how the city could better communicate about its activities and opportunities for civic engagement, and so on. So we tried to collect these inputs from participants, and then we had in June the regional advisory platform, which most of you may know, because this platform is organized by the Integration Center of Prague for many years, and it is meant to be a hub for all stakeholders working on the issues of integration in the city. And so we had four working groups. Each was thematically connected to the priorities of our strategy and the action plans. And so all this collection of the inputs and suggestions was then transferred to the written paper, which is the action plan, and now we are in a phase of finalizing it. But at the same time, not only making a paper, we already designed the concept for the future meetings with MigAct, which will be much more focused already on specific topics. For example, Prague has a very nice website, integration portal called Prague of All. And it is a website which is available in 5 languages. But for example, we learned during the meetings with MigAct platforms that migrants do not know about this website. So it is a huge pity, because there was a lot of energy put into the development of this website and its updates and so on, and also translations. Then there is also a Facebook page connected to it. And so in the very close future, we want to focus on this, like how to make this website more accessible to the communities, how to make it more attractive so that they will be willing also to share it to other people. And so we will see. It can be interesting, because we already had many ideas from participants from previous meetings. So this is briefly said about Prague. What is transferred to the action plan when it comes to civic engagement of migrants. So Prague is supporting very much migrants as co-creators of community building and activities. Then, of course, the role of intercultural workers is very important here in Prague. As we heard, the language barrier is a really huge issue, not only for migrants, but also for the institutions. So the intercultural work is supported a lot, and also migrants being involved as volunteers. It is also something that is very much appreciated by the city. And for example, the associations can get also fundings from the city for coordination of volunteers and so on. So, but this is Prague, but we have also here Athens and Bologna, and they are also trying to do their exercises with co-designing their strategies and engaging migrants. So I would go first to Panos, because you have quite interesting experience from the refugee, which started with the refugee crisis back in 6-7 years ago, related to Syria. And so you created some advisory structures also at the municipal level. And I would wonder, how do you engage migrants? What is the how do you communicate with them? Yeah. So let's start with this.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, thank you. I would like to thank the City of Prague for the invitation and the whole hospitality here. Our story, let's say, starts a little bit earlier than the management crisis of the refugee situation in Athens. Because in Athens, about 10 to 12 years ago, there was a new law on local government organizations concerning the institution of migrant integration councils in big cities. And that was part of a wider law that by that period was giving the right to migrants that were at least 5 years in Greece to vote to local elections. Unfortunately, 1.5 years after that, the High Court of Greece annulled the specific law as non-constitutional, but what is left from that period is that councils, which was which was the positive part, let's say, of that thing. So we have an official collective political body with a representation of migrant communities. Actually, the board has 11 members. 5 of them are from the city council, they're councillors, and 6 of them are representatives of migrant communities. Of course, the migrant communities in Athens are much more than 35, 36. So the city made the choice to choose representatives from umbrella organizations, meaning that, for example, we have a forum of refugees, a forum of migrants that are umbrella organizations, which under them are many communities and from different nationalities and living in Athens. So the one thing is the official, let's say, part, that there is a collective body. Of course, this is, in my opinion, if I wanted to, to stimulate a little bit the discussion, is not the only issue when we talk about co-designing and integration strategies, because formality, let's say, is the one thing, but we always need to be based on mentality. I mean, in order to co-design, you need the mentality to do that. I mean the mentality of both sides, meaning the municipal authorities, but also the migrant communities to participate in a process that is not always that easy and that, let's say, like that to move further. Meaning that when you have an official collective body in the city council, sometimes you find even migrant communities to operate like political parties in civil. I mean, everyone has its own agenda, so it's a different kind of conversation. So, I mean, the one thing is to create a formal status of this representation, but the other thing is, how to say, to cultivate, to promote this mentality of cooperation and co-design between the authorities and the migrant communities and the actual beneficiaries of integration strategies. So this is where we are at right now. We are trying to also in Athens to, let's say, use Unites as an instrument, as a very creative tool to create this mentality to the already existing official collective body, so that we can move one, let's say, step further to this process of co-designing our local integration strategy. Last comment, I know you have to be fast. Yes, be short. Last comment is that through that process, one other thing that is challenged, and we find that through our needs analysis, is the fact that since we have many different groups of people, I mean, one basic division, for example, is newly arrived in Athens and in Greece, which has to do with the recent refugee flows the last year from Syria, the Middle East, etc., Afghanistan, etc., or Africa, with, let's say, migrant flows from the past. Different communities with different needs brings different issues on the table when you have to create a strategy. And this sometimes affects also the co-process, the co-design process. For example, people that live more than 20, 25 years in Greece, their main issue is how to gain citizenship. But on the other hand, people that are from Syria and are only 2 or 3 years in Greece are still on the basic steps of integration, meaning language, promoting people to labor market, etc. So you have to compromise all these different parts of people and different needs and different, let's say, even political demands somehow to their communities or toward municipal authority. So you need to find also the balance in order to be effective on that.
Thank you. That's quite a different example of co-designing and like a municipal structure as we have here in Prague. So let's ask Beatrice, how is it in Bologna? Whether you see some similarities between Prague or Athens, or you have a totally different concept?
Oh. Thank you, Eva, and the City of Prague for the invitation. Yes, I see similarities, in particular with the work you are doing with the local plan, the local action plan. We already approved the new local action plan in Bologna. The whole title of this new plan is Local Action Plan for an Anti-Racist and Intercultural City. And the City Council approved it this February, so it is a very recent experience. What it was important during the elaboration of this new plan was, of course, the process, and in particular the participatory process we organized during the last year. The elaboration of the plan was possible within the framework of another European project, and we worked together with the other two cities in Italy, Turin and Reggio Emilia, and together we shared a common strategy, but also a common structure for our action plans. Of course, then each city articulated its own plan on the basis of the specific needs of its context, but the structure is very similar, and our intent is to make this a model not only for other cities in Italy, but also at the national level for the national action plan. Another peculiarity of the project was the involvement of the civil society, and in particular of a migrant organization or of organization of people with a migrant background. And within this process, we organized a series of so-called community events. And altogether, we work with 34 associations at the local level. During these community events, we explored with the communities their needs, and also considering the services and the areas of intervention, the priorities for these communities. And of course, the areas of intervention were many, from education, culture, labor market, housing, and so on. And all this material was collected and re-elaborated for our local action plan. So at the moment, the action plan approved, and which will cover the period from this year to 2026, is constituted by a more general part, giving a context of our actual situation in the city of Bologna. And there is another part where we collected and elaborated all the material and the suggestions coming from the civic society, divided into areas of the intervention. And for each one, together with the communities, we identified general objectives and specific actions. Just a very last thing, we worked at two levels, because we had a comparison with communities, but after that we also work inside the municipality across the departments, and so I can say that this time for this actual action plan it was a very first example of participatory process, and this is a first step in this direction for Bologna. which already has a strong tradition of participatory process, but in this specific context, we try to combine the participatory process and the work on a strategic document of the city. So this is our situation at the moment.
Thank you, Beatrice. It's very interesting to see that you have even like interregional or partnering cooperation with other cities, which could be a great inspiration for us, and bravo for your upscaling of your ideas to the national level. It's a huge result, I think, of your efforts. Then we have Aden here, who is actually a representative of a migrant organization. They promote entrepreneurship of migrants in Belgium, and he can tell us a little bit more what you do. But I would wonder or ask you, as your role in our project is specific in the sense you are not a city representative, but like the community representative, let's say. So how do you see, like what way of co-designing do you consider to be meaningful from your perspective? And also if you see some interconnection between the focus of your organization, which is in entrepreneurship and civic engagement.
Thank you very much for the question, and thank you very much for the invitation. I just have to say that I am really excited to be here because one of the prominent figures who have built my personality has been a Turkish poet, Nazım Hikmet, and he lived in the 50s here in Prague. And one of his poems inspired me to make what I am doing now a life mission, and I will cite him. As a respect for Prague, who has accepted him and give him the freedom to be himself, and to honor Nazım Hikmet also in his beautiful spirit, to live like a tree alone and free, like a forest in brotherhood. This yearning is ours. This has been the most important poem which inspired me to fight for integration of migrants all my life. It's not only a question of integrating migrants, it's the art of living together. It's the art of creating value added not only for yourself, but also for other people. Concerning the organization Unity, the new European Entrepreneurs Association, the idea started in Amsterdam in 1995. It was a group of only 7 crazy people. You need crazy people if you want to start movements and impactful movements. You need believers, not people you convince. And these people move by themselves. They not wait anything from the authorities, cities, governments, or whatever. They believe in something. It's about their dreams. To be honest, we started with 7 entrepreneurs. Today, we have more than 10,000 members, entrepreneurs, and 5,000 business professionals from 24 different European countries. And these people are bonding, bridging, advocating, supporting, and co-creating. And I will make it more clear on this, in this sense. The Confederation has been initiated in 2010 in Brussels, and we are advocating at European level, but the associations are advocating at local level, and the federations at national level. It's a great infrastructure, but we are not an island. We are connected to others. The power of such initiatives is in the ability to create synergies together, to build ecosystems, because we need each other. We are not self-sufficient. It's impossible to generate real societal value, cultural value, or economic value by staying on your own camps. It's impossible. Be aware of yourself, but go and be aware of your, and be humble and be aware of the value added of others. Bonding, it's about your own identity. If you do not exist, you cannot enrich other people. Be aware of who you are and claim it. The second thing is bridging. Go to the other. Help others to go in the community. Advocating naturally, because governments are bureaucratic apparatus and political initiatives are there. But if you do not have any voice, nobody will listen. Don't expect politicians or municipalities or governments to come to you. Go to them. It's about a bottom-up approach, not a top-down approach. Please, if you don't have any voice, nobody will care about you. I'm exaggerating, but it's my experience. Take the initiative. Take a collective initiative, an enriched initiative, because all these friends are enriching us. I'm just one dot in it, and be aware of it. Supporting, because entrepreneurs in general have entrepreneurial minds. They don't wait, they act. They have skills, they have means, they have leadership skills, motivating and mobilizing people. They have the energy and the courage to make things change. A change with a vision, a change with a collective vision. I think their human capital, their social capital, their financial capital, and even their leadership capital should be more valorized by cities, by other NGOs also in the room. My apologies for my enthusiasm, but it is, I just talk and work what I believe and what I dream for.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. This is what I appreciate about the participation of Adam in the project, because he's always motivating us. So I hope that you get some inspiration from his speech also for yourself. And I would say that there is also Razan somewhere in the room, which is the representative of another migrant organization, New Women Connectors. She was raising quite a few questions already in the morning. So don't hesitate to approach both of them and ask about their experiences, because actually they are also voicing like the experience of the experts of experience that we use this term, which is not very known, but I like it very much as it expresses that everybody can be an expert according to his or her own personal experience in whatever connection in our lives and life situations. So we have also experts of experience in our team, and this is a great value for us. We are approaching, we have some time yet, so because I would like to raise this issue, which was already mentioned many times in the morning, the language barriers, how to communicate together. In particular, the city is not very much visible in the view of migrants, and does not understand what are their needs and how they could get some useful information. So I would like to ask you, Beatrice and Panos, how do you tackle with this obstacle or this challenge, let's say? And if you have some good examples or maybe lessons learned, yeah.
Yes. Again, I will start with the situation before and after 2015, which was actually a milestone for the city of Athens, because it completely changed our perspective concerning integration and engagement of migrant communities in our city. So, one first thing is that we realized that our know-how is nothing comparing with the know-how of everyone who is on the field, meaning the international organizations, NGOs, private actors, that all together, from their part, try to contribute on the field of reception and integration of third country nationals. So another thing that we saw is that every project and every actor was creating a tool, some kind, an application, a platform. So at some point, on the peak of the refugee crisis in Greece, there are, I don't know, tens of applications and everything. So at some point, this was not very functional because it was start creating more confusion than help to the people trying to find out. So what we decided to do is to create a tool to facilitate the networking, meaning that we created an initiative, we call it in Athens, the Athens Coordination Center for Migrants and Refugees. It has more than 880 actors that are coordinated through 5 different committees depending on their expertise, meaning education, labor market integration, legal support, health and mental health issues, and gender-based violence, and all the issues around these issues. So practically, we created an official, in a way, networking that was addressing mostly to all the people working in the field, meaning social workers, psychologists, and all kinds of experts that have beneficiaries. So through that network, we were trying to, to bring down the information. We provide what the municipality does there. I mean, our migrant integration center or our projects, and all the other actors also feed with information about their initiatives. That was one first step to, to reach, because sometimes, projects and actors are divided with walls because they have different funding, or they have, there is sometimes a competition concerning funding, etc., etc. So if you create a common platform trying to avoid overlapping of services and try to create a new way of thinking and cooperating, then you have definitely better results on reaching and engaging people that looking for those services. That's, let's say, is our official, somehow, networking that works with the beneficiaries. On the other hand, definitely you need access direct to the communities. One part of that is that we always inform our Migrant Integration Council that I said before about activities, new projects, even new projects of other actors. We invite people, we invite organizations in the council to present their new action. I mean, every time that we have a meeting of the council, we always have 1, 2, 3 NGOs or UNHCR or IOM presenting a new action, etc., etc. So we use also the representatives of the migrant communities through the official, let's say, lips of the organization and the representatives to be informed on that. And of course, one critical thing is, the unofficial networking, because this mouth-to-mouth thing, if you have, let's say, the right people in the right community, somehow this is not exactly the correct way to say it. But yes, if you can have the critical access to the communities, for example, through the use of intercultural mediations in services, and the network of intercultural mediators, then you might have better access to this unofficial, let's say, networking that I'm definitely sure that works the same good, and it has great results as the official kind of networking. So this is the ways we tried to, of course, and the classic means of, social media, Facebook, etc., etc. But I think, as I said in the beginning, sometimes this information through social media or multiple platforms sometimes are, creating a cloud of confusion for a beneficiary looking for a specific service for its needs. This is how we
Great, thank you. Yeah, compared to Prague, like we are quite strong, I would say, in this informal networking. But what is a challenge for Prague? It's to bring migrants to these official structures and have a dialogue. For example, there is a commission on integration at the city council. So this is actually something we are trying to find ways how to bring, for example, participants from MigAct also to the politicians and to be more official. So it's the opposite way for us. So, and what about Bologna?
The problem of communication is, of course, an open problem in Bologna as well. And in the last few months, it was inaugurated an intersectoral working group within the municipality, and each department is represented, and this was done on a strong mayor's commitment for starting working in a transversal way across the municipality, also on these themes. And of course, what is emerged during the meetings is that the communication and the language is a problem at a different level. So we have departments which have problems in just in a formative way, but there are other departments which are more in charge, for instance, of the communication on the social media. And then there is another big problem, which is the administrative language, which is a barrier also for other citizens. So there is a strong awareness, and of course, as you can imagine, for some departments this is more clear. For other departments is less clear. Sometimes, for instance, I can say when we involve the mobility department, they are not always so aware of the importance to give information in a certain way. But of course, the problem is still open. What I can share with you today is a good practice for one hand, and a challenge within this group on the other. A couple of years ago, one of the districts of Bologna, Quartiere Savena, worked on a project online and offline, collecting all the useful information about services in different languages within that quarter. So this could easier to make it easier to reach the migrant communities, but and the communities of people with a migrant background. And this work was done also offline, because I would like to underline that the online is can be easier, but also can be very difficult, because it requires a lot of skills sometimes. So don't forget the offline also, because this is very important. And we published a map of the district with all the services that could be useful for people of these communities in different languages, and this was a very useful tool. So this is the good practice that I share today with you, and of course we would like to enlarge this practice also to other areas of the city. The challenge emerged during one of the meetings of the intersectoral working group, and regards the language that we use in the public call and tenders, because some departments are aware that they published a call, for instance, addressed to parents of in the migrant communities, but these calls are so difficult to be understood that, of course, the services don't reach actually the target of the department, and this is a problem. So also thanks to the project Unites, we would like to work on the co-review of one of these calls, just starting from a very specific call decided together with the colleagues of the educational department, and try to understand how to combine the administrative language that we have to use, because we have to use juridical and administrative language, but at the same time to ensure the accessibility of the target to this course, because we have services, but these services don't reach the people. So this is our challenge.
Thank you, Beatrice. I think the administrative language is also our barrier. Like we translated, my organization is seated in District Prague 3, and they were very keen to be more accessible and translate their website in 3 or 4 languages. But the formulations they were using were so complicated, even for our translators, not for general public. So we try now to find the ways how to make it more pleasant and more and better readable. We have to come to the closure, so I would ask maybe Dirk and Karolina and Adam if you have some maybe in your mind now examples of good practice, lessons learned from you heard here and from other cities, and yeah, so we'll make.
I would maybe rather I give an example too, and maybe recommend to all of us to be creative in not to go out of the normal ways in which we're used to do participation, and to try some more crazy, unusual methods. Just to give one example, which is kind of a fashion in the UK now, to train community researchers. Now, what does that mean? You have whatever your topic is. No, if you're let's say you're working on migration, like most of us do somehow, you train migrants, newcomers to participate in research, to become researchers, no? Because they have contacts to the community that somebody from university or from the city hall doesn't have. But sometimes they have social sciences diplomas and they can do it straight away, but sometimes you might also want to train them for concrete exercise, no, for needs analysis, no, which needs are unmet here in Prague for newcomers. And you train 10 community researchers, work together with the university, and then you have a really deep needs analysis. And there are many other tools like that I would really like to use, but we need to convince also the city councils to go there. It's a lot of work, but I think it pays off in the end.
Yes, from my side, well, within the project we have most of the partners, apart from the migrant-led organizations and migration work, so all the cities are working really hard to achieve the best they can. So we have Grenoble, who's creating, has created already a migrant council, for example. I know that for many there might be challenges. Of course, as most of you were saying, it depends on the context where we are. On the other hand, I think it's important to take advantage of opportunities like this one to gather cities, gather different perspectives, have civic organizations present, and to learn from each other a lot, which is actually what we do with our projects within the Integrating Cities framework. So from our side, which is mainly about knowledge sharing and capacity building, we're really looking forward to the online course, which we will, of course, share with everyone, hoping that it's useful for all of you, all the actors involved, to learn from it. And there will be all of the good practices that Dirk was talking about, and of course the cities which are part of the project.
Thank you, Karolina. And Adam, would you have some comment, final comment? or to share?
Sure, I will say very briefly that the city belongs to the citizens, and we have forgotten this. The city is not the leader of citizens, but servants, civil servants, we call them. But we should remind this very often. We should change our paradigm. The paradigm of diversity, not as a deficit, but as a dividend, as a value, the value added of diversity. Happily, we are so diverse. Let's look from this perspective. How can we enrich our communities by communicating much better? The second thing is, I think every initiative at the bottom up or at the municipality should be purpose-led, people-centered, and performance or impact-driven. It means, especially what I expect from municipalities, is that they support in starting and scaling bottom-up initiatives. To give an idea, if you have a subsidy program, who knows about this subsidy program? Who knows about the rules to get it? Who has the human capital or the skills to get this money from there? Nobody. I think we can put some people to help the bottom-up initiatives to have access to this. Last but not least, and I will stop with this, support inclusive and impactful think and do tanks, please. Thank you.
Great, thank you a lot. Before we end, I would like to give floor to you. If you have some questions, we will have time maybe for one or two, because then the time has run out. So please don't hesitate to raise your hand, and Kateřina will give you the mic.
Thank you for your contributions. Today I heard very interesting examples of integration activities, basically. But what I would like to ask you is if any of you would give us an example of participation, inclusive participation activity. By that I mean going beyond this idea of migration and who is a migrant, and how we can really include all inhabitants of a city. Doesn't matter if they are migrants or not. And now today we are talking about those who have certain condition that is there, they have a migratory background, but still they are inhabitants in the first place. So how, do you have an example of these kind of attempts of really having an inclusive, participatory building of the cities, not about migration only, but about the issues that concern all the inhabitants of the city. That's what, like, for example, what we tried to explain when we are doing MigAct, that we are not focusing on migration itself, like integration, but we are focusing on really collaborative process that would include also people with migratory background, but that is not the main issue in this collaborative process. So would you give us an example, please?
I can try to give an example. Okay. First of all, I will give a small example of some participatory steps concerning migration. Recently, because we have a very close cooperation with the UNHCR in Athens, especially with the field office, our staff made an on-the-job training concerning the participatory assessment of the provision of services, meaning that people that come to your service and there are regular beneficiaries of your service, at some point on groups will come and you have a quite big discussion concerning how their point of view, meaning how do you feel about the services? Are enough? Are not enough? Do they come to your needs? We need to do something else. So we had a small step on that, which was quite, usually it was part that only UNHCR was doing at that in Greece, but we decided to implement it also in the municipal service concerning migration, starting to taking the ideas of people coming every day to our service. It's a first step. We will try to, we will evaluate it, and we will try to move further on that concerning other participatory aspects. One other thing is that, in general, in the municipality, there is an aspect concerning, there is something like a common space, a hub, and it is called Impact Hub. It has also a platform about initiatives in neighborhoods that can propose anything that can make the neighborhood better. I mean, from putting a few trees in that corner, even to, to make a voluntary action to build an old house, or whatever you can think on all the scale of civil society actions. This is a second thing. Trying to map and to see which are the initiatives, who want to participate, how they can bring their ideas to the municipal authority, and to give them a space also to, to facilitate their discussion and the way of organizing all these things. Unfortunately, migration is not very, active in that part. We'll see as we move further if we can have, I think apart from some Greek lessons that some volunteers, apart from the integration program of the municipality, provide in the Impact Hub because they want to help migrants in their neighborhood. This is kind of a few examples that I can give.
Just an example, since some years in Bologna, there is the so-called participatory budget, and each year the City Council provides each district of the city of a budget. And during the year, there is a participatory process involving citizens, informal groups, each citizen in Bologna in elaborating projects, and at the end the municipality collects the project and you can vote for one project for district. This participatory project is becoming an important appointment for the city, and it allows to involve citizens of the municipalities, but also the different communities, both in elaborating the project, so at the beginning, but also in the system of vote, because everyone who lives or works in Bologna can vote for one project, just for one project, from 16 on. So this is a very interesting practice, and of course it is not always easy to involve all the groups or the communities in the city, but this is a shared practice, and I think it is a good experience in Bologna. Maybe an example could be useful.
Thank you, great. I think that I see a colleague from Prague 14 here in the back, and I think they had also some experience with participatory budget, so maybe you can have a local discussion also about this topic. But otherwise, to my knowledge, the city of Mechelen in Belgium is very much working on participatory approaches, not only in relation to integration, because their philosophy is that all citizens are Mechelars, and no matter what issue they are tackling with. So Mechelen is a leader in mainstreaming integration into local policies, so it can be also another example. And yeah, so we collected a lot of practices here, good examples, also some lessons learned. thank you for sharing your experience, my dear colleagues. Thank you for having you here. Thanks also to MigAct platform that they are brave and they don't hesitate to try make new things with the city of Prague. And I would like to thank also to my colleagues from the city that they have the courage to to go with us and to transfer the knowledge from the field also to the strategies. So if you want to get some more information, don't hesitate to get to us during the lunch break. Unfortunately, after that we have another program, so we cannot follow you during the afternoon. But also our contacts will be available through the organizers of this event. Thanks.
Děkuji Evě, děkuji i našim zahraničním hostům za to, že přišli a sdíleli velice cenné zkušenosti. A teď bych vás už chtěla pozvat na oběd. Budeme mít vedle zajištěno občerstvení, pauza bude do 12:45 a poté se tady sejdeme a budeme ve sdílení zahraniční zkušenosti pokračovat. Čeká nás právě zkušenost občanskou participací v městě Oslu a jenom připomínám, že odpoledne my nekončíme, my tady zůstáváme a budeme mít ještě další 3 workshopy, takže ti z vás, kteří se ještě nezapsali na ten svůj workshop, využijte prosím obědové pauzy. Jenom připomínám, že máme 3 témata. Je to celé o tom vědět, jakým způsobem se vůbec organizovat v rámci občanské společnosti, to znamená, jak tvořit různé iniciativy a spolky. Přístup k informacím, to je první workshop. Druhý je zaměřený na financování, abychom věděli, jakým způsobem získat zdroje na fungování. A třetí téma, které už tady bylo velmi často zmiňováno, je politická participace. To znamená vůbec možnost zapojení do politických procesů. Tak jo, teď už vám přeju dobrou chuť a těšíme se na vás zase za chviličku. Vítejte zpátky po obědě, pojďme prosím pomalu na svoje místa, budeme pokračovat. Since our next guest will be English speaking, I will already switch to English as well. Welcome back after the lunch break, and now in next 45 minutes we will transfer to Norway to get their experience about participation. So please now let me welcome our guest Lilian Hjorch with her presentation, and we will have some questions afterwards.
Thank you all, and thank you in Basel for inviting me and to be that Human Rights Academy is a partner in the project that we are very proud of. I have in fact a quite big presentation with a lot of pictures, so I have to start. This afternoon I will tell you a little bit about the Human Rights Academy. Then I will talk a little bit about Norway and Oslo and the integration strategies in Oslo. And then I will tell you a little bit about some good practices from our organization in Oslo. And then some other initiatives. And then in the end, how is the integration going in Norway? So this will be the very busy schedule. So the Human Rights Academy is an ideal foundation founded in 2008. We have just now 5 employees, but we have 70 volunteers that are working on the ground, and we have also a very active board. Our aim is to increase respect for human rights in Norway and abroad, not less than that. And we do that by doing human rights education, education in human rights, multicultural understanding, democratic citizenship. We do workshops, but we also participate in projects on giving our expertise, campaigns, and exhibitions. And our main added value is the participatory methods. We are always engaging our participants into, when we have workshops, we always use participatory methods. So what I'm doing here today with you, I don't usually do that, actually, because we always try to engage the participants. We are project-based, and that means we need to run after project all the time. And last year we had 20 projects in Norway and abroad, so we have a lot to do. But we learn a lot, and today I actually have taken my notes for a couple of very good ideas from here, which we might use in Norway. We have a very multicultural staff. Just now we have Eritrean, Afghanistan, Lebanese, and Norwegian, and we also work a lot with different minority groups in Norway. I think the framework for the Human Rights Academy is important to underline. Because the human rights education in democratic citizenship is a discipline in growth. So the foundation for our work is the UN Declaration on Human Rights and Training, Council of Europe's Charter on Human Rights Education and Education for Democratic Citizenship. I think everyone that is working with human rights education should know that and use these very good and important documents. Because the documents say that all citizens, including migrants, must learn about human rights in order to create peaceful and democratic societies. And the governments and the municipalities, in their work doing this, they must cooperate with NGOs. Yes. Okay, a little bit about Oslo. So here you can see the beautiful city of Oslo and the Oslo fjord. In Norway, there are approximately 5.5 million people. And of those are 1,100,000 immigrants and their children. So 20% of the Norwegian population are immigrants or descendants by immigrants. And in Oslo, is the capital, is the biggest city, we have 700 inhabitants and 244,000 immigrants. So in Oslo, we have more. We have 35% immigrants. And it has been increasing the last 30 years. And I noticed that we have maybe some other immigrants group that you have here. Well, our main immigrants group are from Pakistan, Somalia, Poland, Sweden, Iraq, India. Now we have a lot also from Ukraine. This is the official numbers, but I checked it out and talked with people. We have at least maybe 65, 70,000 Ukrainians, refugees to Norway. And quite a lot of them are in Oslo, so I think the 3,000 number doesn't, it's more. And the Norwegian country is quite a rich country and a stable democracy. So we score very high on all these international indexes, like Democracy Index, #1. UNDP Human Development Index, #1. World Press Freedom Index, #1. Corruption Perceptions Index, #4, after Finland, Denmark, and New Zealand. So it's a good place to live. But not everything is perfect. No society is perfect. And we have our challenges and we have our problems. And I will come to that. But first, I want to say a little bit about what the Oslo municipality strategy on integration and diversity. So what have the municipality done? in order to meet the more multicultural society. So they started out in 1996 with a strategic document where it states very nicely, all residents should have equal opportunities, rights and duties, regardless of ethnic or religious background. Minority groups must participate in education and working life and have stable living conditions. The majority, I think this is extremely important, the majority must be engaged to increase tolerance and accepting diversity as a positive value. Resources and diversity must be used and valued. And good integration happens through language training. We're talking a lot about language barriers here today. It's very important, language training, education, and qualification for work. So this was the strategy that came in 1996. Then we had at least maybe 200,000 immigrants in Oslo. But then, 5 years, no, this not, okay, just take it. Okay, the next one, please. Because actually I have another picture, 2 pictures before. Okay, but I'll go straight. This picture is showing the biggest demonstration in Oslo after the Second World War. And it was in the 1st of February, 2001. Because some days before, a black boy, 15 years old, called Benjamin Hermansen, was brutally killed by neo-Nazis. And this was a terrible event that happened that really shocked Oslo, but also Norway. There were 2 neo-Nazi boys, quite young, that just were looking after persons that had a different color of their skin. So he was a random victim. But he was brutally killed in January, cold winter evening. So nothing like this had happened in Oslo before. So the society was struck by shock, and all good forces said we had to go downtown, we have to meet, we have to show that we don't want such a society. So this was I was also there with my kids, because I thought this was so important to go out, to act, to show that we don't want this in our society. So this was an event that changed something in the Norwegian population. And one response from Oslo municipality was the strategy developed in 2001 called Oslo Extra Large. It was a strategy that was part of an action plan against nazism, racism, and intolerance that came as an answer to this killing of Benjamin Hermansen. And in the plan, it were some values. Oslo should be for all. We must be a city without racism and discrimination. Oslo should be a welcoming city. Central elements were that neighborhoods and schools must create good meeting places. There should be grant schemes for work against racism and discrimination. Minorities and their organizations must be heard. Very important as well, I think, the employees in the municipality must represent all groups in the society. And every school, every municipality agency should work systematically with integration and inclusion, and should have this as part of their reporting system, annual reporting system. After that, we have had other action plans, the municipality, on LGBTI+, on disabled, on hate speech, etc. So I have the NGO perspective, but for me, I think the municipality has done quite a good job on these policy documents. In 2020, Council for Multicultural Minorities were also established that should give advice to the City Council on the strategic level when it has to, everything that has to do with integration and inclusion. So this was in 2001. We had very beautiful and nice values. But then 10 years passed, and then we had this brutal terrorist attack downtown Oslo and at Utøya. Probably you saw this in the newspaper also here in the Czech Republic, because this news went all over the world. It was the 22nd of July 2011. There was this ethnic Norwegian terrorist that did a brutal act of terrorism in Oslo and at Utøya, and 77 people were killed, 69 youngsters at Utøya, because it was a labor summer camp. So they were all just youngsters there on the summer camp. But the youngsters, they chaired the multicultural society, and so many of them also had minority background. But the terrorist didn't like that. He wanted to attack the multicultural society. So this was, again, a terrible thing that happened to our society, which really made a profound shock, both in Oslo, but also in the Norwegian society. It was really, I think, the worst event after the Second World War, actually. But then again, the answer from the many Norwegians and others living in Oslo and in all cities of Norway went out, took with them a flower, rosetoget. Again, I was there, Gunn were there, all I know were there. 150,000 people. It's quite a lot in the Oslo city where we have 500,000. 150,000 people were gathering and say, we don't want terror and discrimination and racism in our society. We want to share our diverse backgrounds. We must live together. So this again was the population's answer. And it was a very strong experience. And I think this shows the best of the Norwegian society. Many individuals are taking responsibility when these things are happening. But then again, there are some groups, there are challenges, problems that can make some people radicalized and feel outside the community. So this is the context that we are working in Norway. Many things are very good, but it's very important to work with integration and inclusion. This is one of the most important things to work with in our society, as in other societies. So now I want to just tell you a little bit about how we are working as the Human Rights Academy. We are working with human rights education, and of course this is a work against racism and discrimination and promoting of active citizenship. We have many projects, both in Oslo, but also in Norway, in many other cities. And and also abroad. We have been working and are working in like 15 European countries together with partners. And our target groups are very often minorities, groups in the minority population, young people, teachers, we teach the teachers our good methods, pedagogues and activists, and of course, not to forget the population at large. And what is so important in using the international human rights? Why do we believe in using the international human rights in the integration work? Because they are our common heritage. It's not only, you know, these international human rights are made by the UN, the Council of Europe. These are international values, and values that have the potential for all people to feel ownership to, and values that we all can share. So, and the core of the international human rights are human dignity, equality, and the non-discrimination principle. So this is what we teach the youngsters and all participants, that human rights are, on the one side, very difficult to understand because it has to do with international politics, with the war in Ukraine, Syria, etc. People are writing PhDs. But on the other hand, it's quite easy to understand because it has to do with human dignity, equality, and the non-discrimination principle. These are the core values, and all the international systems have been developed to protect these core values. So this is very often our starting point when we are teaching in our different projects. So, and by that, we feel that human rights have a very big potential for building bridges in a society and integration. We believe that when we are working with minority groups, we find that the international human rights is a better angle and a better starting point than saying that now you are to learn about Norwegian values. Because the most important Norwegian values are, in fact, human rights values. It has to do with equality, freedom of religion, freedom of movement, rule of law. It's not only Norwegian values. These are international human rights. Yes. So then I will give you some examples on how we work. We have had a lot of courses at asylum centers for youngsters between 16 and 18 years old since 2008. And we have had 2,300 unaccompanied asylum seekers, they come alone, that have participated in our 2 days human rights courses. And the aim is to give them positive activity at the asylum centers. They are bored there, you know, and give them human rights values and knowledge about Norway and integration. And they learn not only about the rights they have, but they learn also that they have to respect other people's rights. This is our duty, to respect other people's rights. So, and of course, active citizenship. It has to do with empowerment, that we can do, every one of us can do something to change the society. And of course, the young asylum seekers are a very vulnerable group, and they do not get a lot of human rights education. Norwegian pupils get a lot of human rights and democracy education in schools, but these kids are not getting a lot. And then again, we do the active participatory methods. Discussions, presentations, pantomime, exercises, energizers, etc. And I want to give you a concrete example, because before we even mention the word human rights, we have a group work called The New Planet. And then we say to the kids that they should imagine that they were coming to a totally new planet because this world has been destroyed. And they are the only persons there, but they know there will be many coming to this new planet. So what sort of rules should apply to the people on this new planet for them to live and to live good lives? So this is a question we ask them. What kind of rules can create a good society? Not for only in your groups, but for all the people that eventually come to this planet. And so then they go into groups, work for 20, 30 minutes, and they come up with these beautiful rules. And these, remember, these are youngsters from Eritrea, Somalia, Afghanistan, Syria, you know, many, many parts of the world. And it's very, very interesting to see their responses on this group work. And I just took a couple of examples. They also give a name. They work for 30 minutes, and then they have, you know, like 10 rules, and also a name on the planet. And very often it's very nice rules. Freedom, no war, no weapons, equality, only one wife, no forced marriages. We should take care of the environment. We should have democracy. Everyone has the same value, etc. So, you know, after many years of doing this group work, we were thinking, hey, the Norwegian population, many of them have a lot of, you know, like prejudice and stereotypes about asylum seekers. But we, after being in the room with them, we know that they have a lot of wise thoughts. So we were thinking maybe we should make an exhibition. So we gathered a lot of these, we gathered 100 of these planets, and we made an exhibition to tell the Norwegian population about what the young asylum seekers believe are good societies, are rules that should be governed in the new societies. So this was a big effort. We were cooperating with the Norwegian Folk Museum and the Architecture Bureau. So this is a wonderful, quite big traveling exhibition that now has been to 32 museums, libraries, peace centers, and adult education centers since 2019. And maybe approximately 75,000 visitors have seen it. And in Oslo, it has been several places in Oslo. And we think that this is a very interesting and important exhibition that does something to everyone that sees it and change a little bit of their mentality. And are a voice from the young asylum seekers, and we need that. And then the work at the asylum centers has been very interesting, and we have got to be very fond of these young groups, this young group of youngsters. And we know that many of them, maybe as much as 85%, get to stay in Norway. But we know also that 42% of them have some show signs of post-traumatic stress syndrome even 5 years after they arrived to Norway. So we know they are having a hard time, many of them. And 12,000 have come to Norway. So we were thinking, what can we do to help this group, this young group? So then we developed the Win-Win project. It's a pilot project where one young refugee meets a volunteer adult that has the same language and the same cultural background as the young one. This is Save the Children Norway, that is a partner. So there are always 2 adults and 2 youngsters that meet. And they meet 2-3 hours every 14th day for a year. The aim, and they do a lot of things. They are going to the libraries, they are going just to walk in the town, they are taking a coffee, they are playing billiard, mini golf, a lot of things. They are using the public sphere, but the most important thing is to create good framework for conversations. And of course, you have been talking here today about the language barrier. This is exactly a good project, because we are connecting the youngsters with adults that have been living in Norway for many years, that are well integrated, educated, that know the Norwegian system. So they are also being role models for these youngsters. And this is really peer-to-peer work. When we started this, we didn't think about such, like labels or words, but then we found out what we are doing is peer-to-peer work, because the youngsters are learning from the adults' experience. And the aim is to prevent mental health problems and promote integration, education, and work. And it's quite an innovative and ambitious project. So now we have just got funding for 2 more years, and we have also got funding from Oslo municipality. So we have some results. Because it's a pilot project, we have to start it out quite softly, but 5 youngsters and 5 adults have been in this project the last 1.5 years. And what we see is that there's a huge interest from adults in the minority groups, because they immediately understand that this is a very important project. Because even if I, as an ethnic Norwegian, want to help the refugees, I cannot do it the same good way as people coming from their own country or know their own cultural background. So our volunteers here, because they are volunteers, adults, are really building bridges for these kids. And some quotes. We did an internal evaluation that had very, very good results. And a quote, "Win-win helped me. Many other youngsters can also get help. Keep up the good work." And one said, "The days we meet are the best days in the month." So this is a very, very interesting project that we really want to continue and to develop. And I believe it's an idea that should be implemented in, like all European countries that have minorities, that have refugees and minorities coming, and which has minority groups already living in the community. We need to see the resources that the minority groups has when it comes to language and culture in dealing with this challenge in our communities. So we are going to have an external evaluation now, and we are going to make a strategy for long-term financing. And our aim is to make a tool on how municipalities in Norway can use the win-win methodology. Yes, I have just some other project that I just want to show you. This is a Freedom Yes project. It's a target group are women from minority women, because we know that in some minority groups there are some challenges connected to more patriarchic structures, very religious, conservative, etc. And we need to deal with this in the countries so that people can live free lives. And so we have made this educational manual, which is very good many participatory methods. Again, we have developed it together with minority groups. And our aim here is to create awareness about human rights, about women's rights, about children's rights in these minority groups. And we are giving basic courses, and we have training for training courses, and then the women themselves are doing small local workshops in their own community. Yes. And then another interesting project, which is very good idea, I think, women conversation across cultural borders. We send advertisement on the Facebook, and then we attract women, minority women, and the women from the majority to have women conversations on interesting subjects like freedom, equality, upbringing, human dignity, human rights, you know. Very often one is speaking about, you know, like small talk, but in these women conversations, we are focusing on the interesting questions. And we have here conversation facilitators, one from the majority population and one from the minority population. So each of these conversation groups have conversation leaders. And this is a very nice project which is supported by the Oslo municipality. And then we have another project called Society It Is Us. It's again financed by Oslo municipality, and our partners are minority networks. And target groups are, you know, minority groups, youth, young adults, and the population at large. We have workshops, seminars, we visit the parliament, etc. The aim is to create active citizenship and values of democracy and human rights. We also do campaigns, and this is a very nice campaign because on this poster it says, "The society, it is us." Samfunnet, det oss. And then we post it on Facebook and Instagram and, you know, in all media, and celebrating the diversity in the population. And as something positive, even police, even police women are celebrating in the society, it is us. Yes, then I think we just skip this because this is an interesting project. This is the last one I think I will present. It's Human Rights Lens. We are working with schools because pupils in Norway need to know about human rights and to see that human rights is nothing that is just, you know, out in the international community, but we have also human rights challenges and problems in Norway. So the partners here are 8 schools also in Oslo, but also in northern and western and southern Norway. And we give them in half a day human rights training, and then they learn a little bit on how to take good photos, you know, to take good pictures. Everyone has a mobile phone. So then their aim is to go out in their local community and take pictures of what they believe are issues that have to do with human rights and challenges in their own community. And I can also say that we have got a revised curriculum in Norwegian schools, that now democracy and citizenship is one of 3 core priorities. So I think this is very, very important that has happened in Norway, that every youngsters should learn about democracy and citizenship. So this has been really something that has strengthened this subject in the Norwegian schools. And then I will just show some pictures from the youngsters, freedom of expression. They are making local exhibitions in the schools and outside in the community. Yes. So now we are actually making human rights cards. It's another project. I think we just skipped that. Also, but how? So the Human Rights Academy is one of many organizations that are working on these topics in Oslo and in Norway. So we are many. We are many, and that is important. And how is integration going in Norway? What we see is that more and more children with immigrant background attend kindergarten and are successful in school and enroll in higher education. There are high social mobility among the children, but what we see also is that immigrant boys have highest dropout from schools. So here is something that we need to work with. And then we also know that this also has to do with socioeconomical factors. So more children with immigrant background are in low-income families, and this is a challenge it's a structural problem. And then, of course, the likelihood of discrimination is more than twice in this group. And we must also remember it's a very diverse group, and the longer residence, the better integration. Female refugees have the biggest challenges. But still we can see this is the last slide, I will give you some statistics. What you see here is you can see in 2003, the big black line. This is the statistic Norwegians. The question is from the Norwegian population, most immigrants, what do you think? Are most immigrants useful in working life? And you can see that there has been a positive development from 2003 and until now, from 63% to 84%. So here we have a positive development. And parallel, we can see that the question, most immigrants are sources of insecurity in the community, has decreased from 40% till 15%. So the integration is going quite well, but the 15% here that regard immigrants as a source of insecurity in the community, this is really the problem that we need to deal with. Because these can be, the terrorists that have done these terrible things. So we really need to work with where the problems are. But I think it's important to work with the population as such. And this was a lot. So I think I will end here. Maybe you have some questions. I'm not sure if we have time for the questions. Okay. If you have some questions.
Thank you. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm from British in the Czech Republic. We are the new non-EU immigrants since 2021. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you. Nobody this morning talked about working with children and young people. You're the first one that has. And I congratulate you on that because all our countries have signed the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. And if we do not consult and work with young people, we are wasting the future population, the future politicians. Now, my country voted to leave the EU. They voted largely, when you get underneath the reasons, because of immigration. People were anti-immigrants and they voted to stop the immigrants, mainly from the EU. How has it affected the politics and the electoral politics in your country?
It's a good question. I believe that immigration has been one of the most important political questions in Norway the last 30 years, and it has created some kind of polarization. We have had, like more right-wing parties that don't want immigrants, and then we have. So we have seen this is also a challenge for the Norwegian society as it is in other societies. But this is quite highly debated. But I think the numbers that I showed, it shows that the integration is going fine. It's developing in a good manner, and I think it is extremely important to use facts, not only listen to the people that are, shouting that this is terrible, this is very, but to get facts about how it is going, because many things are working quite well. But of course there are problems. We have Sweden, a neighboring country, that have taken in very many refugees and asylum seekers, and of course it's hard. It's important to have a good politics on this, and to deal with integration, and to have a lot of good projects, to have a good policy, to integrate the minorities in the politics, in the civil society, and I think this is also an answer. But I think in Norway it goes quite well, and I think we have quite an active state on this matter, and many good municipalities that are doing a good work. So, but still we can see that the terror. We also had a terrible event last year in the 25th of June in 2022, when it has not been a court case, but I think everyone agreed that it's a terrorist attack the evening before Pride in the center of Norway. So then 2 persons were killed, and the LGBT community was very stressed. So it's a problem, but that is why we also need to use the good values. We need to inform about the international human rights. We need to integrate and give this knowledge to all the minorities, but also to the population at large. It was a long answer, but it's a complex matter.
Any more questions? If not, thank you so much, Lillian.
You're welcome.
I have to say, being the speaker after lunch is always very difficult, but I have to thank you for your very inspiring presentation, because you got me sucked in from the very beginning, and you have introduced so many inspiring projects, and I would just want to know more about each of them. So there were so many of them, but I really like that you pointed out the principle of international human rights. I feel that's like the red line that is going through all of your projects. So we find this very inspiring. Tak a teď už tedy opět přepínám do češtiny a chystáme se na další část našeho akceleračního programu a máme před sebou zase úplně stejný blok jako dopoledne. To znamená, budeme mít 3 prezentující a následně bude prostor pro otázky. A nyní mi už dovolte, abych představila Hlas Ukrajiny, konkrétně Jaroslavu Burko a Mariu Oliferovou.
Hello. So we are Ukrainian-Czech initiative Hlas Ukrajiny, which is translated as Voice of Ukraine, and we represent a community of activists in Prague who are sharing the voice of the Ukrainians, so that Ukrainians does not disappear from the information space, because Ukraine defends not only itself but also the entire civilized world from Russian aggression.
So our initiative was created in response of the need of a better coordination of the Ukrainian community abroad, in particular in the Czech Republic. And therefore, several factors of influence should be used for this purpose. It's active and high-quality integration into the Czech society with reinforcement of ethnic identification through networking and cultural events.
Our main field of activity is external communication with the Czech civil society and government through public appeals and demonstration. That is why Hlas Ukrajiny took responsibility to be the voice of all those who share the values of freedom, peace and struggle, who stands for the right to live in peace of their land.
And that is all who support Ukraine, regardless of who they are, Czechs or Ukrainians who left their country due to the full-scale invasion, or Ukrainians who have been here longer because they have chosen the path of immigration.
Our activity gives us the opportunity to be heard not only in the Czech Republic, but also in the world. We are quoted by many global media, some of which you can see on this slide, please. And also here will need to be animation, but I see that it's a PDF file, so okay. You can see this name of this mass media. It's not all of them, because we have a new experience and maybe have remarkable at 50 mass media types. So, the next, please.
Yeah, so demonstrations are not the only way to communicate, not the only way of public communication. Our appeal to the Parliament of the Czech Republic to recognize Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism has gained enough signatures, and 1 month later it was recognized by the Chamber of Deputies. Russia was recognized as a state sponsor of terrorism. Obviously, this petition was only a part of a bigger effort to achieve the result. And we are also promoting other petitions such as Kick Russia out of the UN, a letter to Olaf Scholz, Yes to Murder and Leopard tanks for Ukraine, Zabraňme účasti Ruska a Běloruska na Olympiádě, and other.
In this case, Hlas Ukrajiny makes a dissemination of information and appeals to communities in different cities of the Czech Republic through the leaders of organization, and we are providing strategic sessions on urgent issues of Ukraine, countering disinformation, Ukraine's voice abroad, humanitarian aid, culture and educational activities.
And for us, the communication and cooperation with other Czech non-governmental organizations is crucial. We actively cooperate with Czech organizations such as Darek pro Putina, Kaputin, NAFO, Illumicati, and Pulse of Europe.
Because of that, we began to organize not only political actions, but also socially useful culture and mutually integrating events. Such photo of them you can see on this slide.
And in particular, we decided to support the project Ukrainian Films in Bio Oko, which goal is to introduce the Czechs to modern Ukrainian cinema. And together with Bio Oko, we organized a showing of the film Olga, dedicated to the Memorial Day of Heroes of the Heavenly Hundred.
Hlas Ukrajiny was responsible for the discussion after the film. In the discussion, they invited active observers and participants of Maidan events, one of the founders of Prague Maidan and its permanent member until now, and a curator of the project, Ukrainian Films in Bio Oko, is also an active participant in the civil initiative Hlas Ukrajiny. Thanks to the tool Solution Free, which we learned about at one of the workshops within the framework on the acceleration program, we decided to involve in the discussion not only viewers but also people with different experiences. We managed to set a new record for visitors to Ukrainian movies in Bioko. It's old record, but in this moment when we are run this film screening, it was a new record for the cinema, so namely 187 people and 15% of whom attended to the after film discussion. So, next.
And have you really remembered only one tool of the whole acceleration program?
Of course, it's not the only one. On this slide, you can see our initial conditions and skill acquired during the acceleration program.
And along with the program, we gained a lot of experience and found common points of support for the development of a social movement, especially the one which is led by foreigners. Here are some important points. It is outreach and education, inclusivity and representation, and trust-building factors on the part of the majority of the population.
And what can we do on our migrant community's part? One of the main points is local language engagement. Also, there are support for one or another participation in local and state events, like this one, thank you, and other which you can see on this slide. Many thanks to Inbaze. Okay, here needs to be also animation, but sorry. So, many thanks to Inbaze for the acceleration program. We learned a lot of useful information from creating a map of organization to instruction on how to choose and register the right type of NGO. Also, we would like to thank Česká společnost, MigAct, for the opportunity to receive the first experience with the granting program. We have improved our management significantly, we understand time limits better, and our plans for the nearest future are more clear.
Yes, and next slide. Yeah, here you can see links and QR code to our social networks, and we encourage you to subscribe to stay in touch for further communication. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moc díky Hlasu Ukrajiny, děkujeme za velmi zajímavou prezentaci. Je vidět, že součástí občanské společnosti jsou i demonstrace, sbírání petic, ale i právo na informace. A děkuji, že ty informace přinášíte do našeho prostoru. Díky. A teď už se dostáváme k dalšímu účastníkovi a je to kolektivole Laura Martínez Abarca a ještě její další kolegové. Tak, vítejte.
The time started? Okay. Hello. Good? Okay. So this is us, Colectivole, Johanna Shilarova, Martin Espinosa. And if you agree, I would like to tell you a bit of our story. Good. So we are a group of 5 friends, 4 Mexicans and 1 Czech. And we happened to meet here in Prague around 3 years ago. So through our groups of friends, we started to hang out and then share our ideas, and after making events and artistic projects just for fun and passion at the beginning. We did movie festivals, art residency in Studio Alta, radio, library. So we have been doing some stuff through this time, and now we also found a place where we're currently doing a cultural center in Letohradzka 10. It's in Prague 7. You're very welcome to visit us, of course. And at the moment we are more there are 3 projects that are more active. which is the library in Spanish, the radio project, and then as well another collective of political and social discussion. So this is our stage now, and we are like taking steps to be a platform for immigrants, but also local people, internationals. So we are not just Latino, so everyone is welcome. And I think maybe through this experience, what helped us is like to really more talk to ourselves what we want to do, and now taking steps of what I call to be an adult, yeah, to be more, compromised with our community and to start doing the change that we want to see. And now, please, you can continue. Okay, this is just a few pictures of library, radio, and they were doing the radio program there and the library. So this is at Letohradska now, and if you can continue. And for us, what is important actually is like to really share the ideas we have to like help each other to make the project happen and to really make a community. Now, Johanna will step up.
Thank you. So when we entered the program, the acceleration program, our main objective was to get a place to build the cultural house, but as Martin said, it came to us, or Martin brought it to us. So we defined another objective, which was to be more synchronized and concrete with the goals that we actually have, to define what we actually want to do, for whom we want to do it and why, and what we can actually offer. Because, yeah, as you said, it was like founded as a group of friends, so like a lot of things were happening, but in the really spontaneous dynamics, which was fine, but at some point it was like necessary to formalize it and like be more specific. And that's what the acceleration program actually helped us a lot, like to ask us these questions, to really like insist in, okay, but what is it actually? For whom you like? I mean, like, yeah, like a lot of things, and okay, but what? So yeah, we realized also how important it is for us to work like more in a more efficient way and to actually be more. To really have to do the work that we want to do, to include the people that we want to include, to do, how do you say cumplir? ¿Cómo se dice cumplir? Like, yeah, with the objective that we want to. And yeah, that's actually we define as basically intercultural exchange, not only between the Czech and Latino culture, also like including other cultures, but this is basically the main dialogue that is happening right now. Also, in general, like inclusivity, just to have like include the groups that are not being included everywhere, or that are more like on the march. And yeah, like collaboration between artists from different disciplines. So yeah, that's basically what we're organizing right now, what we're focusing on. There were many events happening. Yeah, as you said also, some of them, it was like a party of the radio, which is including like many programs, so there were a presentation of the programs. There were many like political talks that we finally also started to translate to English, so it's more accessible for everyone. Yeah, we did a dance performance, so like a lot is happening, but still we try to like have the spine of the objective that we want to like reach. And yeah, so we are grateful for the opportunity, and yeah, we're really happy we could be part of this. Thank you.
Také díky vám za nový příval energie a spoustu nejenom kulturních aktivit. A pojďme tedy do třetice se podívat na dalšího účastníka akceleračního programu a tím je ASAP Jolanta Novači.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jolanta, and I'm here to represent initiative called ASAP, which means Abortion Support Alliance Prague. And it's an initiative that was created in January this year. All of us, like 3 core members, we met in Czech Collective, which is a helpline for Polish people to get a safe and legal abortion in the Czech Republic. And after 3 years of our work, since abortion became completely illegal in Poland, as you probably know or heard, we started to recognize burning issues also about abortion and reproductive rights here in the Czech Republic. And also we recognize that there is no other institution or no other initiative who is dealing with reproductive justice. So this is how we started our activities. You can, And we started actually our activities during acceleration program. So we started from organizing panel discussions about reproductive justice. And first, you can go, this is like the first debate in Zdena in Prague. We made 3 debates so far about reproductive justice with experts and activists. And during acceleration program, when it was like happening parallelly, it helped us to set also our objectives, our goals, and it gave us confidence to launch actually our project and go public and start to organize things. Also, like for us, it's very important to talk about reproductive rights from the intersectional perspective. So we also include a discussion about reproduction rights of trans people, and now we are preparing the next one about abortion rights for people with disabilities. This month we actually released a report on accessibility to abortion in Czech Republic in Czech language, and next week we are launching the report in English. We were researching accessibility to abortion since January this year, and here you can see like the results. First of all, the very burning issue is that only 47% of clinics, hospitals are accepting foreigners for abortion procedure, which is completely not acceptable because like in European Union, everybody should have access to the health system, right? So this was like very, very outraging. This is something that we were already aware of for many years, but this topic is really not addressed and it's not present in the public space. Not even mentioning that people from outside of European Union without the permanent stay, they don't have any access to abortion in the Czech Republic. So yes, it's outrageous. Then later we also made research about the prices. After 8 weeks of pregnancy, abortion can cost even 27.5% of minimum wage, which is quite expensive considering that in Czech Republic you cannot actually have it covered by any insurance, how it is, for example, in Germany, in UK, in Spain, in many other countries, or there is no other institution who could help with covering those costs. So this is another problem that we discover. And accessibility to abortion pills, which is also very, very poor in Czech Republic. It's like recommended method by World Health Organization up to 12 weeks. It's recommended to take pills at home and basically do a home abortion. It's completely safe and recommended, while in Czech Republic it's very limited. It's only till 7 weeks, 8 weeks, without actually any reason, like medical reason or law reason. This is just coming from quite outdated knowledge of the hospitals and medical staff. and not to make it longer, I just would like to invite you for our launch of our report in English. It will be on live, Instagram Live, on Safe Abortion Day, 28th of September. And right now, we are also finalizing our process of becoming an NGO. So this is something that also was done thanks to Marina and thanks to Inbaze. We made a couple of sessions about it, and finally we have time for that because I'm unemployed. Anyhow, it's also something that was missing for us as for people from abroad to find reliable information about, in English, how to start NGO in the Czech Republic. Not just a couple of sentences, but very complex, there is this missing infrastructure. So thanks for Inbaze and acceleration program, we get this knowledge. What is also missing, in my opinion, to build a civic movement here is lack of financial support, which would be flexible. So like people without knowing Czech language, without huge paperwork, without having a permanent stay in the Czech Republic could use it in a way that to create something. So I think that's it from my side. Yeah, I think there is no more slides though. Of course, follow us. Thank you.
Díky, Jolanto, za velmi silnou prezentaci a za přinesení velmi důležitého tématu. Teď bychom otevřeli prostor pro otázky k účastníkům všech těchto 3 programů. Tak jenom jestli vás mohu všechny požádat, abyste přišli sem a případně zodpověděli otázky. Chce se někdo na něco zeptat? Would anybody want to ask any questions about these 3 presentations?
Hello. First, I would like to thank you all for all the efforts that you are doing and giving to these projects. It's amazing work. And I would like to ask you, what is your biggest challenges? What are your biggest challenges at the moment to have a bigger impact?
We have started to get our own non-governmental organization, and we started to write statute. And now we try to.
We tried to agree the most fundamental values of the NGO, and it's not always going as smoothly when you have a big team of people. And as for now, it's one of our one of our bigger operational challenges.
Yeah, but we clearly understood what we need to do. Just we need to understand each other what we want to see in our statute. So it's maybe one of the biggest challenge. And after we want to try our force in different projects. So with some financial basis, because now we exist without any financial, but we have so many.
We have expenses, a lot of expenses.
Sorry for my English, but so yeah, it's what about us and maybe.
I think my answer will be rather short. Money. We are applying now for funds, for grants, and so on to build actually sustainable structure and also to be able to pay people for their labor and for their work. So this is like for us the bigger structure. We know what we want, we know our direction, but we just need to be sustainable.
Hello. For us, I will say it will be first to decide how we want to organize ourselves and govern ourselves like this is very complicated. And then the funding. Yeah. No? Yeah, that's it. No.
Thank you all. Díky všem. Čas už se nám naplnil a teď bude čas na naše workshopy. A možná to vypadá, že jsme s účastníky domluvením, ale úplně nejsme na jejich odpovědích. Ale vlastně nás teď čekají 3 workshopy. Jeden bude právě zaměřen na financování a jeden na informace, jak se sdružovat, jak zakládat spolky a tak dále. Cílem těchto workshopů je vlastně zmapovat situaci velmi krátce, ale spíše snažit se brainstormovat a dávat nějaké nápady na řešení. Něco dalšího, co vlastně potom bude dále použitelné, předatelné tady všem zúčastněným, samozřejmě i magistrátu a tak dále. Jenom připomínám, že tedy budou teď 3 skupiny. Ještě než se rozdělíme, tak prosím zjistěte si, v jaké jste skupině a jazyk té skupiny bude vybrán podle toho, který jazyk tam bude potřeba, který bude převládat. Nicméně připomínám, že to nebude tlumočeno, že ty workshopy už vždycky budou probíhat jenom v jednom jazyce. Jo. Zároveň na konci těch workshopů ve 14:45, to znamená ve 3:45, si zase tady všichni společně sejdeme a provedeme si takové shrnutí těch workshopů. A já si myslím, že detaily už se dozvíte v těch jednotlivých skupinách. Co je teď tedy ale důležité je, abyste věděli, že skupina číslo 1 na téma právě, jak zpřístupnit zdroje financování pro různé aktivní organizace, Natallia ukazuje, bude úplně vzadu. Úplně nejjednodušší bude, když se budete držet Natálii, protože ona bude facilitovat tady tento workshop. Druhý workshop bude na téma právě, jak zpřístupňovat informace pro jednotlivé spolky a tak dále, tak tam to bude jednoduché, to bude přímo tady a stačí, když se budete držet mě, protože to je moje skupina. A třetí skupina je určena pro Moniku a už mám signál, že vás pošleme tady těmito tajemnými dveřmi do zádu. A je to právě, vy tam pod mě v koutku budete řešit, jak politicky rozhodovat. Myslím, že to docela i tak jako odráží právě tu realitu, ale samozřejmě pak vás zase pozveme na světlo a budete mít možnost, aby váš hlas byl slyšen. Tak v kolik se kde sejdeme? Natašo, chceš upřesnit? Už teďka rovnou si bereme účastníky. Takže máme teď 2-3 minutky na to, abyste si našli svého facilitátora a přemístili se třeba s nějakou vodou nebo kávou do stejného prostoru, kde to bude.